Hey, welcome back to the CT Small Business Podcast. You know me already. I'm your host, Chris. Here on the CT Small Business Presents Podcast, we get to know Connecticut-based small business owners, and we get to learn about them and their business. If you like the podcast, rate it, share it, review it on whatever platform you're on. Let's get into the episode. Exactly. And we're live.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Adrianna, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. This is such a cool place, and I'm so glad that we finally, connected, and we're here. We're making it happen.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
It's just fate, and the stars aligned, and here we are.
Yeah, and then I remember you messaged me, and I was like, oh, she messaged me. We talked about getting an interview like 3 months ago. For the people who don't know, Adrianna actually runs Good Morning Cupcake.
That's right, and we are in Milford. I'm actually from Stamford, but I moved to Milford a couple years ago, and my shop's actually like only a mile from my house. So
that's good.
It's awesome. When I was first like opening and starting it all up, I used to ride my bicycle to the store, paint a little, and then go home, which was really
dope.
That's
good. How long have you been open for?
So this May it'll be 3 years, which means we opened in 2020.
Oh, so you're a pandemic baby.
Oh, yeah. Well, super pandemic. I signed my lease on March 1st of 2020, and then the world ended like 2 weeks later.
Oh, yeah.
So that was fun, to say the least bit. I had to kind of like go, okay, well, what am I going to do? I have this payment every month, and I got to do something. I was very lucky that I still had my home baking license. So I was able to still bake and make product and make sales by, delivering to people's houses in my car, and make money to cover my, my overhead, insurances and stuff like that. And also what was a pain was having to wait for the state and local authorities to give me permitting and inspections and stuff, because every time I'd called, they'd be like, no, we're not doing it because the pandemic. Yeah. So I had to keep waiting, and obviously you get nervous after a while because you're like, well, when are they going to tell me to, where's the, the green light?
Yeah.
So my goal was to open the first weekend of June. I opened May 30th of 2020, and I got all that permitting, all that inspection done, like literally 3 days before opening. So I just got really lucky. Everything kind of worked out the way it was supposed to, I guess.
It's funny because a lot of people we've had so far, this is maybe episode like 27, 28. I forget which number. But everyone has, obviously it's the pandemic, so it's been such, it's going on, obviously. Yeah. So, but everyone has had their own little pandemic story.
Oh, yeah. I mean, some people ask me, like, how does it feel, operating a business in a recession, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, I don't know anything else.
Yeah.
I don't know what the regular cost of goods is, or sales, or labor, or anything for that matter. I don't have something to look at and base my numbers off of and say this is the norm and this is not the norm, because I've never had a norm.
Yeah.
I've always had, price gouging and shortages, and, one day your gloves cost $3 a box, and the next week they're $14 a box. And ingredient wise, one week you have cream cheese and the next you don't. Yeah. So it's been a struggle, obviously, to say the least, but it's also been a roller coaster, because some days are good and some days are bad with that sort of sense.
Now I assume today it's the eggs.
Oh gosh, it's eggs. I mean, the last time I bought them, they were $4.66 a dozen, which most people are like, oh, that's not that bad. I'm like, yeah, but that's wholesale price. It's not Stop and Shop. Stop and Shop right now, it's like over $5. But when I started a couple of years ago, we're talking like $1.50 a dozen.
I remember eggs.
You drop an egg, you're like, who cares? Now I'm like, lick it off the floor or something,
clean it up.
Yeah, because
pick out the dirt.
Yeah, blow on it or something, because that's like so much money that you just kind of wasted.
Yeah, it's insane.
So that's that's the hard part. We're talking like, whatever, 30-40 cents an egg. Before it was like under 10 cents. Under 10 cents.
Yeah.
We're talking, at that point you're talking pennies. So that's the eggs right now are definitely hard, but also because I own a bakery, what's important for us is egg whites.
Yeah.
So when you make meringue, which we use as a base for our buttercream frostings, meringue, for those people who don't know what it is, it's egg whites and sugar, and you whip them. It's basically liquid marshmallows. That's what marshmallows are made out of.
Is it?
Yeah.
Like I really don't know anything about.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna learn so much
I really don't
stuff
know,
today, man. I can't wait. I'm such a nerd with this kind of stuff, with like the science of it. So yeah. So meringue It's egg whites and sugar. You whip them up. How it gets fluffy, glossy, etc. is all of the air molecules that are being trapped in it. So if you're making marshmallows, you basically do that and just add gelatin and cornstarch and let it sit out, and then boom, you've got marshmallows.
Okay.
But for meringue, which is the base of our buttercream, we do that, and then we add butter and vanilla, any other flavorings to it. So the thing about egg whites is if you just get them out of a carton, you crack an egg with the egg yolk, and you have the fresh egg white, it's not pasteurized or cooked, quote unquote, right? So if I use that in a buttercream, it's potentially hazardous because you're eating raw egg white.
Yeah.
So I have to get them in a carton that's pasteurized. So the problem is when you pasteurize egg whites, it usually kills off the whipping agents. So you go to whip them and they're just soup.
Nothing happens.
Nothing. You're just looking at them for hours and it's like watching paint dry and nothing happens.
Yeah.
So in the baking world, we have what's called high whip egg whites. So they add like a guar gum to it to make the whipping even better. But they come frozen. And Restaurant Depot has not had them in like 8 months.
Oh, geez.
They don't even sell them anymore. So it's impossible to get them. So I've had to go to, Costco, Restaurant Depot, all the grocery stores and buy the egg whites that are in the carton and just see if they work. So, like, for instance, Eggland's Best, that's what they sell at Costco, doesn't work.
Oh, no?
No. So it's either the Restaurant Depot brand, which is like James Farm or something like that, or Target.
Oh, really?
Target
of
works.
all places?
Target's works, and Restaurant Depot has been out of egg whites for the past 3 weeks, so I literally had to go to Target and buy them out of egg whites because that's the only ones.
Only place you can find it.
Yeah,
that it works.
Yeah, and they weren't too bad in price, so I didn't freak out that much.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy running around like a crazy person because you can't get the ingredients you need to make the product that you sell on a daily basis.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
See, one thing, yeah.
Yeah, no, you don't know unless, you're educated in this stuff, right?
Yeah.
You just are like, okay, chicken's expensive and whatever, everything's expensive, but it's more so of just getting things.
Yeah.
So.
And I always wonder, like, I'm thinking about it as we were talking. I wonder why, like, say, like, for, like, 2 months it's eggs. Then Then it's, like, toilet paper. Then it's, like.
I had, let's see, cream cheese. Remember that whole cream cheese thing when Philly was like, we'll pay you not to make a cheesecake for Christmas? So there was that. And obviously I use cream cheese in our cheesecake icing, which is on our rabbit season, which is our carrot cake, and anything else that's topped with that. So that was a pain. Salt I couldn't find at one point. Cocoa powder, which we use a very specific brand. We can't just go to the grocery store and get Hershey's or Ghirardelli or any of that stuff. It's just not high enough quality. And you can taste the difference. Trust me, you can taste the difference. So we have to get, a cocoa berry, something high end. So that was hard to find. It's just crazy, the things. Regular vanilla was hard to find at one point. It's just the random things.
Yeah, I wonder. It just confuses. Not confuses me. I always just wonder how one little thing, like say vanilla, can go like with a shortage for such.
Well, did you hear about Airheads? They're not producing them for like 2 years.
No.
Yeah, because
this is literally the first time I heard about it.
Yeah, I read an article. They're like, we just can't get the certain things we need for manufacturing, so it's not worth us producing for like until 2024. And this was a couple months ago.
Yeah. No, this is the first time I heard about it.
Yeah. So if you find them now, eat your Airheads because you might not get them for a while.
Oh, jeez.
Listen, I love a good cherry Airhead. That's probably
that's my favorite one too.
Yeah, cherry. Watermelon's like, it's okay. Whenever I eat like candy, it's got to be red or pink. I don't know. Anything that's red or pink in terms of candy, that's like Starburst, Airheads. I don't like Skittles.
No, me neither.
No,
I'm not a big fan of them.
Yeah, you want to know a cool scientific fact about Skittles? Well,
What's that?
Actually, any candy that has like that hard coating. So that hard candy coating on M&Ms, Skittles, any sort of candy like that. So that process is called panning. So they're basically taking the center of that candy and putting a candy grade shellac on it. So this shellac actually has beetles in it.
Does it?
So it's not considered vegan. So if somebody was to get a Skittle,
it's not a vegan.
It's not vegan because it's
got the insect.
Right. So same thing with like honey.
Yeah.
People who are vegans, they don't eat honey, so they can't have anything that has that product in it. But yeah, so candy shellac has beetles in it, which is crazy to me. But
that's
a
weird.
thing. I know, right?
Yeah.
Who would have known that M&M's had Beatles in it?
So since I'm gonna ask a random question now.
Yeah,
This is
shoot.
it's gonna be a really weird question.
I don't think any questions that
okay,
weird.
because it's food related. I don't even know how true this story is. I never even looked into it. So I was told, this is a couple years back by another coworker, like a coworker at my old job.
Yeah.
Like this is going back maybe 8 or 9 years ago, that raspberry flavoring was based out. It was like based out of like the anus of like some sort of animal.
That was the raspberry flavoring tastes like the anus of an
No,
animal?
it's like it's like it's
oh,
like
it has it in it?
yeah. I was like,
I don't know. Well, you know what? So I actually was an intern at Pepperidge Farms at one time in my life while I was at Johnson Wales University.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I got my degree. I have a bachelor's of science in baking and pastry arts.
And that's a giant like cooking school, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. So Johnson Wales University, at the time, it had 4 campuses. I think with COVID, they've closed it down to 2. So the main campus, which is where I graduated, was in Providence, which is awesome. I loved it. It was awesome. It was so great. But yes, so there is a downtown campus, which literally has all of the, boring things.
Yeah.
And then, like the normal things, like criminal justice and like fashion merchandising, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But 3 miles up the road on the harbor, which is like right on the borderline of Cranston, is the Harborside campus of Johnson Wales Providence, which is the culinary campus. And there's if you ever go there, there's a giant building. It's called like the CCCE building. It's like the Cuisinart Culinary Center of Excellence. When you go in there for like a tour or something, when we were students, we used to call it the fishbowl, because every classroom was just lined with windows. And people would like go up to the window, like face pressing on the window looking, because we're obviously making all different types of food and stuff like that. So anyways, back to, I'm like, where did I come with this?
It's okay. My whole podcast, we go off into tangents.
On tangents, yeah. So anyways, the reason why I said this was because I was talking about Pepperidge Farms and the internship I did there. So I actually got to learn what like a flavoring scientist is, or a flavor house. So basically, these companies produce all these different types of artificial, natural, whatever type of flavors. So when you're creating something in a manufacturing setting, if you want something that's raspberry flavored, there's probably like 20 different raspberry flavorings to choose from. So obviously there's different raspberries in general, a red raspberry compared to, a different type of raspberry, but also it's like, how ripe is the raspberry? Is it like raspberries that you get, in jam, or is it raspberries, seedless raspberries, blue raspberry, all of these different things. So it's pretty interesting that you think raspberry is just one flavor, and it's probably like 20.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, because I forgot who told me this. I learned that the flavoring of the, like a candy, like the banana flavoring.
Oh, yeah.
Supposedly it's based from a banana that was almost extinct in the 50s.
Well, see, there you go. Because like you taste banana flavored, Laffy Taffy, for instance. It doesn't taste like banana.
No.
It's like, I don't know what this is, but it's just yellow.
Yeah, it's supposedly
yellow. That's about
supposedly banana flavoring is like in general. It's supposed to be like based off this one banana that was almost extinct.
Right.
Like back almost 70 years ago. Come and think about it, in the 50s.
Can you believe that when you say like 1950, you're talking about like 70 plus years ago?
I was about to say like 20 years ago, but it's just like
Oh, I mean, I'm going to be 32, and whenever somebody mentions the 90s, I'm like, oh, yeah, that was like a hop and a skip yesterday.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, obviously.
Yeah. It's funny to say that, because like, I'd be like, oh, how old are you? I was like, wait, I'm 42? Like, I forget that I'm in my 40s.
You know what's crazy? When you get older and you start looking at other people, especially like when I'm at the grocery store and I'm looking at people and I'm like, oh. And I look at somebody, I'm like, oh, they're probably like, 60, and then I'm like, oh, my parents are 60.
Yeah.
And they really look probably 80. I don't know, so it's kind of like your age perception. As you get older, you're like, wow.
Yeah, I forget that I'm in my 40s. I literally forget I'm in my 40s.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how life works like that.
Yeah, I know. And I still want to do the stupid stuff I did in my 20s.
Yeah. Like, sometimes it
Good Good thing
It is
my
what it
bones are still healthy. I think, I haven't broken anything yet, so.
Well, that's good.
Exactly.
Yeah, I haven't either, surprisingly. I was a cheerleader in high school and middle school and actually some in college. I actually started at Southern Connecticut State University before Johnson Wales.
Did you?
Yeah, so the whole, I guess, story background of how I got to Johnson Wales was in high school. The only thing I really was good at was photography and cheerleading, and I really didn't care about school. You know, I was like, whatever, it's school.
It's funny that you say that because I went to school, like, I liked it.
Yeah.
I didn't care either.
It was just like, whatever.
Just, like, I was happy just getting a C.
Yeah.
Like,
you know what? I was a straight 3.0 student, and, that's okay. It's not honor roll. It's not honors. It's not like anything that anybody's like celebrating. It's just you're a 3.0, which is a B, and you're average, and you're just, that's that. And there you go.
I don't know. I'm not trying to say I'm smart by any means, but, like, I just never felt challenged.
That's okay.
Like, literally, like, in school, like.
Well, also,
like,
there's a probably, with that being said, there's also like a held up to like certain standards or push you in certain directions. Like if, you don't do your homework and you don't have somebody being like, on you about it, then
yeah,
why
no one
would,
was on me.
Exactly. Why would you care?
Yeah, no one was ever on
That's
me.
like a whole nother topic for another day where I
Yeah.
go in like a tangent about how I feel like, certain things about high school failed me, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
I used to have I went to Central in college.
Uh-huh.
And I had for the 4 years my girlfriend at the time and I dated, and she used to get so pissed because like I would just never buy notebooks and I would just listen and like
Right.
just I still pass everything and
Right.
some of the classes she was like, you did better than I did, like.
Yeah, that's when it's hard because you're like, wow, I tried really hard and this guy who didn't try at all is doing better. Like, I suck.
Yeah.
It's just like that's when you start going in a downward spiral and you're just like, why am I here?
Yeah, even when my job now, when I was in my other office, well, my bosses would be like, aren't you gonna write that down? I'm telling you, I go, I don't need to.
Yeah, some people just like they can hear it and memorize it.
Why?
Like,
yeah.
I'm more like photographic, which I think makes sense for like what I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, some people just hear it, they know it. That's like musicians. A lot of the time they can hear like a guitar or a piano or anything and they just listen to it and they can play it.
They can play, yeah.
Yeah, which I think is so cool. I definitely can't do that.
Yeah.
So I give them credit.
I remember like when the person next to me who sat at the desk next to me, she was like rattling off numbers trying to do the math. I go, whatever the math was, I go, the answer's 50. I go, it's 50.
Yeah.
Whatever she was adding, and she was like, I'll go, it's 50. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'll do the math. Just tell me the numbers. I'll do it for you.
Yeah. My big thing in high school, so I was the president of the National Art Honor Society. That was like the most prestigious thing I probably did. But so my big thing, like I said, was cheerleading and photography. That's all I cared about. And so when I moved on to college, I was like, okay, well, what has both? And at the time, Southern Connecticut State, they're Division II, and they had the national championship cheerleading squad for all girls. So I was like, okay, boom, sign me up. They have photography at the school. I have good enough grades to get in. And so I started doing that. And, what's funny? It's like when you're like really good in high school at a sport and then you go to college, you're like, wow, everybody's really good, but like way better than me.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of my problem. I was really good at cheerleading, for my school, for Fairfield County. I actually won all Fairfield County twice. And my team placed third at states twice, which was all you needed to do to qualify for regionals. So we didn't care as long as we got third. That was like first for us.
Yeah.
So once I got to college and I was like, holy crow, all these people are absolutely tremendous. And I'm like bottom of the barrel. That was like a huge shock to me, going from being like at the top of your game in high school and then getting into college sports and you're like, the run to the litter.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, that's a big shock. So I kind of fell out of it, fell out of the sport, but I also fell out of the sport. My parents were going through a divorce at the time, like going into college. Yeah. So it was like dealing with you're 18, your parents are separating. You literally just moved into college. Your life is completely different. And now you realize you're not as good at what you love as you thought you were.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know. If I don't have cheerleading, like, what am I going to do with myself? Photography was cool, but it wasn't the end all and be all. Like cheerleading was surpassed that.
Yeah.
So, I went to a therapy session, and she said, you always like to make cupcakes in high school. Why don't you do that as a career? And I literally laughed. I was like, you can't make cupcakes as a career. Like, that's not, marketing and communications and law. Like, that's not a thing. And so I researched it, and that's how I found Johnson & Wales. So going back to that statement, I made cupcakes in high school. So I actually bought a book that I saw, like Barnes & Noble or whatever. And it was about decorating cupcakes with just like household items. So, your Twizzlers, your Oreos, etc., spice drops. And I would make them for the bake sales for cheerleading and, National Honor Society. And I was on the yearbook committee and stuff like that. So I would make these cupcakes that looked like, lions and zebras and other random things, owls. And that was my hope, was that people would buy more cupcakes at the bake sales and we would get more money for our activities because they didn't look like Stop and Shop. Yeah. They looked cool and different and inventive. So that's how I got into decorating cupcakes. At this time, I wasn't like making my own. I was just still box mixing it. But I was doing the creative part of it. So that's how I got, this grasp on cupcakes in general. I never made them from scratch as a kid. I wouldn't even make cake, like box mix. I'd be like, oh, Mom, I'm really bad at it. Can you just make it for me? Like, you're going to make it better. So she would always do it for me.
Oh, go figure.
Yeah, right? Because people ask, like, oh, was it a passion since you were a little kid? I was like, nope. Eating them, yes. Making them, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So that's where that came from. And then, I started researching Johnson & Wales. And I applied. I got in. And my mom said she knew it was something I wanted to do because it was the first time that she noticed me really, like, put initiative into, post-grad schooling. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I even took like a Michael's cake course at one point in, at the end of high school or whatever, making like really cheesy looking like 4th of July cakes with like a big Uncle Sam on top and stuff like that. So then I got into Johnson & Wales and I started there. I mean, I learned everything. That's what's so great about that school. You learn, I think the first class I ever took was pies and tarts. And I remember my instructor, she was so cute. She was this older woman with pigtails, and she owned a place called Olga's Cup and Saucer. And it's not there anymore, I don't think.
I would trust food from a lady named Olga.
Right? She was so darn cute, and she had glasses like mine and gray hair and these 2 little short pigtails. And she came up to me, and she's like, oh, what are you doing with your crust? I was like, well, I couldn't figure out how you, like put the little imprints in it. So I tried to figure it out on my own. And it was so wrong. Like, it was so backwards. Like, it was just not right. And she smiled at me and she just said, well, we'll see what it looks like when it bakes. And I was like, okay. I mean, it was fine, but it definitely wasn't right, Yeah. And this was like the first pie I ever made. Well, the first baked good I've ever made, Like I said, I was box mix queen.
Yeah.
I thought putting pudding in box mix was like, I just elevated the game so much. You can do that if you make box mix at home. Put a package of pudding in it, any flavor you want. If you want the cake to be banana flavored, you could put a pack of banana pudding in it, and it tastes better. Just so you know. That's one thing I taught myself. So I, pies and tarts, that's what my first class was. And, going into Johnson & Wales, I had no experience, right? And there are a lot of kids that come from these tech schools, and you're just like, wow.
Yeah, they probably knew they were going to be a cook when they were like 3.
Yeah. And I'm just like, wow, I am so behind on the 8 ball, and these kids are just schooling me.
It's like nowadays when you're watching like the Food Network, like the 12-year-olds.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And I'm like, I couldn't even tell you, how to crack an egg back then.
Yeah.
So that was my first class, took a cookies class. I mean, you name it, the class is there. We did sugar artistry, chocolate artistry, vinoiserie, which is breakfast pastry. So, your croissants, danishes, things like that, which bread class. All you eat, you just take home all of your products. So you literally just eat bread for like 2 weeks straight.
Sounds like a good time to me.
Yeah. I mean, when you're in college and you really, you still have that metabolism of like an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
Man, I couldn't do that now, but back then I did.
My metabolism went downhill about 35.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So there's that. But so what's cool about the school is you could actually get just an associate's if you wanted to. So once you finish the associate's program, which I did for baking and pastry, then you can decide kind of where you want to go from there. So you could either do what's called P4, which means pastry 4-year program, or you can do like a management program. So you get a little bit of baking, but you get more food service management. So I was kind of like, you know what? I feel like I could teach myself food service management. I feel like I need somebody to show me more. We call them labs, lab classes, so I can get more hands-on experience. So that's why I decided to do the P4 program. So I ended up graduating summa cum laude, which is pretty dope because my high school guidance counselor, we had a meeting with my mom. Remember I told you I was like a 3.0 student, like nothing crazy. And she said to her, I think you should just like put Adrianna in community college because like I just don't think she's going to be able to do anything else. And so, like, can you imagine your guidance counselor telling you basically, like, you're shit, so just don't bother with life, right? And so, so I tried for the first time. I mean, not that I didn't try in school, but, like, it just didn't excite me, really, you know?
I get it, because it never excited me.
I wanted to be a marine biologist at one point, and then I had a chemistry class, and the teacher didn't speak like any English, and they just pushed everybody along. Yeah. And this is, like I said before, one of the reasons why I think high school failed me as a person was they should have obviously realized that none of us had any idea what he was saying. Yeah. Yeah. All I remember was him saying the word mole, which I guess is like a term of, a size proportion of something in science. And that's the only thing I remember from that class. Also, one of the kids, he's like the class clown. Playing Snake on his calculator and then getting in trouble for it when the security guard came in, the doctor, his name was Dr. Zhao. And he was like, oh yeah, he's playing on his calculator. And the security guard looked at him and was like, what? Like, this is what you're kicking him out of class for? It was just like, it was just nonstop. I mean, I was in that class because I was so mad that this guy was like ruining my chances at, rescuing the whales and stuff like that and sea lions. I remember taking like a crap ton of matches and lighting them up at the same time and then throwing them in the garbage can. Oh, like, I was just so mad. I was like, this guy is ruining my future. He didn't like that, but I didn't get in trouble. I just was like, looked at him with one of those faces like, like, what are you gonna do about it? Yeah. So anyways, teenage girls. Anyways, so I actually graduated summa cum laude, which is the top honors, and so that's a nice middle finger to that woman to say, yeah, I went to college and I am successful, and you didn't believe in me, so hiya. Yeah. How about that?
Yeah. I picked up photography myself.
Yeah. Actually, it's great because it's not a skill that you'll ever lose. Yeah. Like, I still have my Nikon D40X, which they don't even make anymore.
I have it underneath my jacket. I have the I gotta move. I forget to move my mic as I talk. Yeah. But I have my D3400.
Oh, nice.
I still got my backpack.
Oh, that's cool.
I shot Alice Cooper last year.
Oh.
This year. No, wait. Yeah, we're in 2023. So
where was he performing?
The Oakdale.
Oh my God. This is going to date me so much. But the first time I went to the Oakdale, I saw Jesse McCartney perform.
Did you?
Yeah. I would totally fangirled the shit out of that. Yeah. But, and also that guy, I want to say his name, John Edwards. Remember, he was like the psychic guy?
Yeah, he was the psychic.
Yeah. I went and saw that too with my mom.
Yeah. I don't remember. Who was my first concert there? I don't remember. Oh, well, actually, I do remember. I think the first time, I remember going to, besides Alice Cooper, I remember seeing A Perfect Circle there. Mm-hmm. And then I saw Godsmack. And then who else did I see? I can't remember.
Do you remember your first concert ever?
I do.
Who was it?
It was It was actually the 104 Fest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was actually Creed.
Oh my
He
gosh.
was there, and
Did you go to Milford Oyster Fest?
no,
Oh,
because he was there last year, right?
Yeah, he was there.
And like, I wanted to have a booth there just in general, but I was the weekend. I forgot what I did, but I was busy that weekend, so I couldn't go.
I always miss it.
Yeah,
I'm always somewhere else. But my first concert was Hillary Duff.
Was it?
Yes, it was Hillary Duff
Yeah.
in Bridgeport, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the 104 Fest, and it was Creed. It was I had more interest in who was opening for them. It was Seven Dust.
Okay. So I've seen Creed once. Technically, I didn't really see them because I went for the opener and not for Creed.
Yeah.
You ever heard of the band Skillet?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who I went to see. It was at Mohegan Sun.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. So we went and we saw Skillet, and then everybody's like, "Yeah, Creed." And we're like, "Okay, bye."
Yeah.
we're only here for the opener.
It's funny because like we stayed for Creed, and everyone was going nuts for them. Like they were like, everyone was singing along to the songs. Like I'm not a big Creed fan,
right?
But nothing against them. I just don't ever understand bands. All Nickelback sucks, this and that, whatever band say.
Yeah.
That's just that they're the band for a while. Everyone was shitting on was Nickelback.
Right. Yeah.
Like, hey, if you like Nickelback, you like Nickelback. That kind of stuff doesn't bother me. Like,
I know.
But like, it's just funny because everyone was into it, and what caught my attention was Seven Dust. They just came up with they just broke. They just started recently. That their song just came popular that tour, and they were jump around on little trampolines.
Oh, that's cool.
And years later, I was talking to one of my stepnephew's friends, and I was talking to him. He goes, "Oh, when we were talking about bands, I go, I remember seeing Seven Dust, and they were jumping on trampolines, like the little tiny ones that you
from like the '90s aerobics.
Yeah,
we definitely had one of those.
And like they would be running around, they would just jump on, and they would jump to the next thing. They stopped it after the tour because this guy named Clint that's in the band, he jumped and he broke his ankle.
I knew I was waiting for that.
So that's why they stopped using the trampolines.
Which makes sense. I mean, like, you're going to miss one time.
Oh, they're the other band I saw at Oakdale. Because my stepnephew wanted to go see them again because he's like a big fan of Seven Dust.
That's cool.
So.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me tell you what I've been on the hunt to do for years. I still have not found someone to do this because they have not agreed to it. They haven't figured it out yet. So I want to have a Dr. Pepper themed cupcake.
Oh, okay.
And I would call it Dr. Chris. Because like there's Dr. Bob, there's Dr. Thunder, there's Dr.
Wait, what's that other one? Mr. Pibb.
Mr. Pibb. And
I worked at Buffalo Wild Wings for a couple years in college, and we had Mr. Pibb.
Did you?
Yeah, and I'd never heard of it before until then.
I didn't know it was so popular for a while, Mr. Pibb.
Yeah.
But like, I want to have and they're all like offshoots of Dr. Pepper.
Well, of course.
Just like their version of what Dr. Pepper would be.
Yeah.
And supposedly Dr. Pepper is like 23 flavors, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And I guess it's like just Amarillo flavoring. Supposedly.
Really?
I guess if you get Amarillo, it's just the same.
Yeah.
It's like the same flavoring. But like
well, I'm going to have to look into that, and I will definitely name it after you if I can work that out.
So for a couple of years, I was trying to get a couple of people to do it. And another bakery, I was on them to do it, but we were no longer friendly, so they're out of the picture. Not that we're not friendly, but
yeah, that's all right.
But I'd rather give someone else the money.
Listen, I will take your money gladly.
Yeah,
and not feel bad about it.
And then and for a while I was like, I want to have there'll be for a couple of years I've been trying to get it. Actually Lou and I were talking about this before the show, before you got here.
Yeah.
But I want to have why can't I have not CT small business themed, but why can't I have the CT small business cupcake or like
a signature?
Or say it'll be say the Dr. Chris.
Yeah.
I can endlessly promote the Dr. Chris cupcake and or say a hot sauce and it'll be
what if it's your send off? You're and by the way, don't forget the Dr. Chris cupcake.
Yeah, at so and so.
Yeah, exactly. See?
Yeah.
See?
And or like hot sauce and like a pizza.
A
I
whole
had
like sponsored list of foods.
I have all these like these lists. And my problem is I think too much of like.
And you don't write them down.
Yeah.
Because we were discussing that.
Yeah. And like.
Yeah, you got to write it down.
I was in talks with someone to do an ice cream. Like a company, like a restaurant, ice cream shop.
Creamery.
Yeah, in creamery. Yeah. I couldn't think of the word. And like,
it's just in
every freaking flavor I would think of, they were like, "Oh, we got that. Oh, we do that already. Oh, we have that flavor already. We have this flavor already." I'm like, damn it! I go just I was like, just do a sundae and just make a sundae and that'll be my sundae.
Oh my gosh.
And like, you know what I mean? Or like for a while, I was also trying to get someone to have a food challenge.
Oh yeah,
the way I can go down there and do the food challenge.
Yeah.
And I could do it we could do it like Instagram Live or.
Yeah, no, that sounds so fun.
Like
you know what? I guess it's the weirdest or kind of most interesting combination, in terms of cupcakes that I've done. So there's two. I have a friend. He was a butcher when I first met him. I worked at a restaurant in New Canaan, and I was kind of like leaving to go to another job, and he just started. So that's how we met. And he was getting married and wanted me to make his cake, and I was like, I can't just make him like, funfetti cake. Like this guy needs something extra, right?
Yeah.
So I made him a coconut curry cake with mango cream cheese frosting.
That sounds interesting.
It was very interesting. It was very interesting. So how I made it was I took my coconut cake recipe and added Madras curry powder to it, and same thing with the cream cheese frosting, added mango puree to it. And it's just crazy. It's like this obviously sweet like coconut cake, and it has these like kind of like this spice finish to it. And then the mango cream cheese frosting, both of those things are kind of like sweet, tangy, tart. So it just combined and was like really kick ass, and I was really proud of myself because I was like, wow, I pushed myself way out of the comfort zone for that one. And then he came back, and it was his wife's birthday, and he was like, she really likes London fog lattes. Can you make a cake like that? And I was like,
what's a London fog?
So a London fog latte. So it's basically Earl Grey tea with lavender and vanilla syrup. So I made a Earl Grey and lavender cake. So what I really like doing with some of my cakes when I like to get fancy is I like to take dried herbs or spices or tea, for instance, and blend it really finely in a spice grinder and fold that into the batter. So for instance, I saw this idea in a cookbook. There was one year when I worked in Darien for like 4 years before I moved up this way, and you're really slow in January and February, so I was like, what am I gonna do to like kind of make things, or at least push myself? So I started like a little blog at the time, and it was called Baking Through the Pages, and I would pick out a book because I had so many on my shelf at the time, and I'd pick 5 recipes, I would make them, and then I would do like my interpretation of that recipe or how I would change it. So this one book had a recipe for a green cake. That's what it was called. It was just like, like the green smoothies that have, basil and all this other stuff in it. So literally all they did for this cake was chop like fresh basil or mint or whatever really finely and folded it into the cake batter. And I was like, that's really cool. So I tried it. So the first thing I did was a basil cupcake with strawberry buttercream. And I was like, that's interesting. That's, something different. And so I've been just kind of running with that. Yeah. So if you like any sort of tea, I can make a cake that tastes like that tea. Mint, basil, sage, rosemary, that type of stuff. So what's really cool about like when you get to a certain point in your career as a pastry chef, you understand the chemistry so well that you can just have a recipe and then change it into like 7 different things. Yeah. Which is great. Like, you could take a chocolate chip. I went to West Hill High School right before I gave birth. So this is probably like the last couple weeks in November. And did a presentation for kids who wanted to go to culinary school. And so there were these 2 girls that walked up to me at the end of the presentation, and they said, we're doing this bake sale for our church. We wanted to make cookies, but we wanted to make them like special.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, how do we do that? And I said, well,
put a little pot in it. To be all set.
I mean, yes, that would make them very special.
Yeah.
But I said, what you're going to do is you're going to make a chocolate chip cookie recipe, but don't put the chocolate chips in at the end. All right. So you're going to tape that dough and you're going to divide it in 3 bowls. I said, 1 bowl, you're going to put chocolate chips. 1 bowl, you're going to put like M&Ms. And then the other bowl, you could put like Oreo cookies. I said, so now you just took one recipe and you made 3 different items out of it. And they were like, oh, like a lot of people don't know that. And so, when you're a business owner, my father's always like, you got to work smarter, not harder. And like, that's a way to work smarter.
Yeah.
You're doing one thing in one time frame, but making 3 different products. So,
yeah.
But going back to you writing down your awesome ideas. So the way I got the idea for my business, Good Morning Cupcake, was when I was in high school. I actually had a dream, like legitimately, like go to sleep, had a dream. And I'm like jogging up the street and I see this business, this cupcake business. And it had, on the bottom was this blue sort of squiggly pattern that looked like a cupcake liner, and then the awning was white with these like sprinkle colored on them and had this big like really goofy-esque sun logo, and it said Good Morning Cupcake on it. And I opened the door and I like walked in and I woke up and I was like, I don't know what this is, but I need to write down what I saw. And so I still have the piece of paper from whenever that was, like, let's see, I'm going to say like 10, 12 years ago.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, probably 12.
I think of like a slogan too of like that. It's like, instead of, remember, I don't know I forgot who it was, where it was that Good Morning Vietnam.
What was that?
I forgot what it was. It was, so they were like, Good Morning Vietnam. It was a movie,
it was
right?
movie.
So instead of saying Good Morning Vietnam, it's Good Morning Cupcake.
Yeah.
You announce it, and then you go into this whole spiel of cupcake. I don't know. Never mind.
Well, it's funny.
My mind's also fucked up. It's okay.
Well, it's funny because it's kind of like a term of endearment, I guess, but it's also, I don't know, it's also just cutesy. So,
yeah.
I originally drew the logo on like paint when I was like 18, 19 years old. And so when I was becoming more serious about opening the business, I found a graphic designer and I literally gave him the paint file and said, can you make this look professional?
Yeah.
Because right now it obviously looks like a kid drew it, which at the time I was a kid. So it makes sense. But yeah, so that was my, I always had this piece of paper. I always had this idea in the back of my mind, like, this is what I'm supposed to do with my life. Clearly, I'm very like intuitive and kind of little granola crunchy-esque. And so I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do with my life. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know when I'm going to get there, but one day I'm going to get there. So obviously cheerleading killed off, photography, all that jazz. So I went to Johnson Wales. After Johnson Wales, I actually, while I was there, I was graduating early because of credits. So I was graduating in like February instead of May. So I started looking at jobs. I applied to probably 50 different jobs, and all over New York, Connecticut, and Rhode Island, because I didn't know where I was going to stay. And I think I heard back from like 3, which I guess is obviously very common and typical. So, and I went and I saw them. And one of the jobs that I heard back from was a place in Greenwich. And I walked in there and they told, they said, oh, how much are you, asking for per hour? And I said, I want $15. Now, granted, I asked for this back in like 2014. So like $15 was a lot back then, right? $15 now is like just normal, average, run of mill.
Yeah.
So back then I was like, I want $15 an hour. And the guy laughed in my face. He's like, why do you think you deserve $15 an hour? And I just looked at him and I said, I value my education more than what you're willing to pay me. And I just walked out. And I was like, next. And so I was like, crap. Is this like what I'm going to be stuck doing? And then I had another interview in Boston at this bakery. And it was like an 11 or a 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. shift.
Oh, geez.
That was going to be the thing. And she's like, well, we pay $10 an hour. And then after, 30 days, we give you 11. And again, so I said, I'm sorry, but I can't do that. I'm not going to work for anything less than $15. And she's like, well, the national average for a starting baking position is $10 an hour. And I was like, I understand that, but again, I value my education more.
Yeah.
And so again, that was like a nope. So I'm already like 2 or 3 down out of the 3. So I get a phone call from this random lady and was like, hey, we think you'd be a good fit for something that we have available. Give us a call back. So I give them a call back. And they're like, yeah, so this is so-and-so from Cipriani, which is if you've been in New York City, they have a small location inside Grand Central. They have a, I guess like you could call it a cafe and a large, hall across the street on 42nd. They have, at the time, they had 2 restaurants throughout the city or 3 restaurants, because technically where I was on Wall Street, they had a restaurant, they had like a condo or apartment complex and a hall. And then while I was there, they just opened up a place. They called it Broadway. It was like right across the street from the Wall Street Bowl.
Okay.
So they call me. They're like, this fancy place. And they asked me if I wanted a job as a soup pastry chef. And I was like, holy crap. Like coming out of college and I'm already getting management level positions.
Mm-hmm.
I walked back into class because they called me during class. And I said to my, it's a professor, but we call them chefs. And I said to my chef, I just got a call for a sous chef position. She's like, that's great. I'm like, what are you talking about? I can't take that job. Like that's way above like where I am right now. And she's like, why? She's like, I was like, I don't know. I don't think I could do it. She's like, why not? And I was like, I don't know. 'Cause I've never done anything, outside of internships before. And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. You should take it. And I did. And so I was like, yay, I'm making $30,000, which I mean it averaged out to like $16.88 an hour or something like that. And to me at that time, I was like, this is what I've been waiting for. I obviously said I was looking for something over $15 an hour. This was more. And I worked on Wall Street. Like, how many people could say they did that, right?
Did you live in Connecticut at the time, too?
So, yeah, I'm born and raised in Stamford. So, I lived in Stamford.
Yeah.
So, my hours were get up at 4:30 a.m. Literally, I had 15 minutes to, like, get myself somewhat okay looking. So, like, barely brush my hair, brush my teeth, put on clothes, and get out the door.
Yeah.
Drove I lived in the Springdale section of town. So, if you're unfamiliar with Stamford, that's closer to like New Canaan, Darien borderline than other parts of Stamford. So I'd get in my car and I would drive from the Springdale down to the train station at 4:45. I'd get there at about 5:05, little bit earlier than that, and then I would take it was either the 5:06 or the 5:07 train into Manhattan. I'd get off the train at about like 6:05, 6:10. And then I would go downstairs to the Green Line and take the Green Line 4 stops to Wall Street. And then I had to walk 3 blocks. Jeez. And I did that for a year until I was like, I'm done. Yeah. And so I would go in and then I would start my job at 6:30. And so what was really interesting about that job was it was considered commissary work. So for those of you who aren't familiar with that term, it means making everything in one location and then shipping it out. So we, as the pastry department, made everything out Wall Street, and then people would come in, with the big box trucks and ship it out throughout the day. Yeah, exactly. So, I was considered a junior soup pastry chef because I've never been one before, and so as a junior soup pastry chef, I had a staff of 15, and I was the only American born, and out of the 15, I was 1 out of 3 women. And out of the 15, I was 1 of 5 English speakers. So I am Puerto Rican. My father is 100% Puerto Rican, but he never taught me Spanish, and I will never forgive him for that. So, I had like some very little knowledge of Spanish, but I had to teach these people how to make things with a language barrier like that. So I had to literally like physically show them, you're mixing the brownie batter until all the sugars dissolve, and like have them literally with the glove on touch and like try to figure out a way to communicate what I need them to do without actually communicating words. So
Yeah.
it was a lot of physical things, and just like, sucre, which is sugar. So like thinking of, okay, what do I know how to say, and how can I just put all these little words together to make it happen? And so it was very redundant, that job, because it was commissary. It's corporate. It's not corporate in the sense of like Applebee's, but it's corporate in the sense of like there are other locations throughout the United States. Like there's some in Miami, there's some in California. There's obviously all over Italy. They have, Dubai and Mexico City and all over the place. So it's all over the world, this company. And I learned quickly that because it is corporate, you can't change anything. So for instance, they were spraying water on the cakes to give them moisture, right? Doing that actually is the worst thing for your cake. You're drying it out, because sugar is hygroscopic, which means it attracts moisture. So if the cake is sugary and you just put water on it, it's literally going to suck it up, but there's nothing to hold its retention, right? So you need to put what's called a simple syrup on a cake. So if you're familiar with like bar drinks, you get simple syrup, or in lemonade, simple syrup is literally just a 1-to-1 ratio of water or liquid, because you can use any liquid, and sugar. So by adding that on top of the cake compared to water, you're bringing the liquid into the cake and having it stay there, because the liquid has sugar in it. So I told you I really geek out about this stuff. So
it's all good.
So
we don't mind.
All right, great. As long as you guys don't mind. So they were spraying it with just like water, and I was like, no, you guys have to put simple syrup on it. And they're like, oh no, we don't want it to be sweet. And I was like, no, you dingus, that's not how it works. And so I learned, like, okay, even though these are things that can make things better, it doesn't matter, because it's corporate and they do what they want, and they don't care. They don't care what I say or how to fix things. And it was very repetitive. I mean, like, we would make the average size party there was like 1,200 people. And we had big names. Like Pharrell Williams at the time had his birthday party there, and like Nickelodeon sponsored it. So I was able to go out and like see the decorations, and it was all SpongeBob themed. Like they turned the balcony of the ballroom into like a ship, and like his name was all the characters in giant letters and stuff. And like the Jets have a lunch in there all the time. Like any sort of big celebrity thing when they're asking for money is held at Cipriani. So there's a lot of big name clientele. I never got to meet anybody because I was, the morning shift. So that kind of stunk. But like, I remember one of the guys who worked in like the office part, he was like, guess who's coming in today? And I was like, I don't know. He's like, Bruno Mars. I was like, oh, this is so ridiculous. Like, I don't get any of the good perks. Like, I don't get to meet any cool people. I don't get to see them perform. I get nothing. I get nothing but come here early in the morning and then peace out when we're done. So I was like, that sucks. But I do have to say, with that job, I learned how to cut cake really well, because we cut a lot of cake, and we had to cut like a 2.5-inch cake into 6 slices. Yeah, that was so thin. It was so thin. I cut my 3-inch cakes right now into 3 pieces. So that would be 1 inch each, right?
Yeah.
So imagine doing that, but the cake is smaller, and having to do double that.
Jeez.
So 6 inches. So yeah,
that
was something in college I wasn't good at. So I was like, okay, well, that's good. I'm gaining this skill. So after that, I was like, I don't want to commute anymore. I want to go something closer to home. So I was the pastry chef for a restaurant in New Canaan. And I kind of knew going into it, I didn't really like the restaurant world. But that job solidified me not like the restaurant world. It's just a different atmosphere.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hotheads in the kitchen in restaurants. There's a lot of not nice people in restaurants. And people throw stuff. People burn your stuff on purpose. Especially because I was a woman. Like, that was definitely part of it. Like, I remember this one guy, he was supposed to be the sous chef, and he was on grill station, and he had an oven right underneath him to put like the chicken in. And I was using the convection for brownies, like brownies cooked 350, whatever. So I like went, it was the last thing I had to do too. I went, put the brownies in, spun them around after X amount of time. I went back, and he turned the oven on broil. and those things were black, like
Oh, jeez.
absolute charcoal, hard as rock. And I just looked at him and was like, really? And of course, he didn't have the balls to say anything, of course. But
Yeah.
I was just like, why? You lazy SOB. You couldn't just bend down and put your chicken down there. You had to, like, mess with my
Yeah.
oven just because you're a lazy sack. So, that's the type of stuff that I had to deal with. I also, like the Me Too movement in terms of like kitchen stuff is real. Like I used to wear sweatpants under my kitchen pants because it's cold, and like kitchen pants aren't really comfortable. And I would have like certain staff members say, we don't like that you wear sweatpants under your pants because then nobody could like see your butt. And I was like, well, maybe that's why I do it.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. Jeez. And somebody came up to me and was like, you're too nice. You're never going to be successful as a chef if you're going to be this nice. And I said, well, I don't want to be successful then if I can't be nice. I was like, screw that.
Yeah.
So I actually went to something in the city a friend of mine took me to, and I was telling her that story. And Keegan Gerhardt, who's like a big pastry chef known guy, he's been on Food Network a bunch, and he owns D-Bar in Denver. And he overheard me say that story, and he's like, don't let anybody ever tell you that because there's tons of nice people in the restaurant industry. And I just looked at him, and I was like, first of all, I was like, oh my God, you heard me? And second of all, oh my God, it's Keegan Gerhardt. And I just looked at him, and I was like, thanks. And I was just like, holy crap, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Like I had such a fangirl moment, but I kept it in.
See, every time I think
but
of
yeah.
every time I think of something like that, I think of Gordon Ramsay like yelling at somebody.
Oh, that's so for show. But I mean,
Yeah.
maybe for him that's for show, but in actuality, like, yeah. I mean, I got like a thing of cucumbers dumped on me because the guy who owned it didn't like the way they were cut.
Oh, jeez.
And just like crap like that.
Yeah.
If you didn't clean your station properly, you got there in the morning and all your stuff was just like, spread out all over the table for you to like re-clean. So I was just like, I remember coming home and saying to my mom, I feel like I'm being bullied like I'm back in high school. And she's like, so maybe you shouldn't work there.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're right. And so I left. I wasn't there for very long. I think I was there for like 5 months. It was good for like the first month, and then the facade fades off.
Yeah.
So I left there and I got a job as a head pastry chef for a cafe catering company in Darien. And I worked there for almost 4 years.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I feel like the earth is shaking.
Yeah, no, I did feel that. It must be somebody upstairs like
Yeah.
walking really hard or something. But yeah, so I worked in Darien. I really liked it. My boss gave me so much creative freedom when we had my initial interview. She's like, well, I don't want to hire you if you're just going to leave like within a year. And because I told her, I said, my main goal in life is to have my own business. And she said, okay, give me 3 years. I will teach you everything I know. You're allowed to ask me like, any questions. And that's all, I could ask from you. And I was like, sign me up. I was like, cool. She let me literally run the bakery section of the cafe as if it was my own business. So I really got to learn so many things because I didn't have to be scared of failing, right? It's on somebody else's dime. I mean, that is the way it is, right?
Yeah.
So now I have like 90 different cookie recipes, and I have, different cake recipes, and I really got to hone in on these skills that I didn't really have before.
Yeah. You'll soon have the Dr. Chris cupcake.
There you go. We'll have the Dr. Chris, Mr. Pibb hybrid, whatever it is. So yeah, so I really got to hone in my skills, and then once the time came for me to leave, it was the time for me to leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just get to a point where you're like, I gotta go. So I went and I took a course at the Women's Business Development Council in Stanford. It's called GPS, the Guided Planning Services or something like that. And it's a business writing course. And I came in and I had a binder full of all my ideas and all my research and all this stuff. And I said, here's my logo, here's this, here's that. And they're like, oh, you really should take this course because you already have so much research done. Like, you're going to be really successful in it. And I was like, all right, that sounds great. So while I was taking this course, Connecticut passed a law act, whatever you want to call it, for the Connecticut cottage license. So what a cottage license is giving the ability of a person to make, certain, and I say certain because you can't make everything, food products out of your house. So you can't make chicken soup because chicken soup can kill somebody within, X amount of time, right? You can't just put chicken soup on a bench and let it sit there, right? So basically with the cottage food license, you need to only make things that are going to go bad in the sense of like stale, but they're not going to kill anybody. So you can make cookies, but you can't make pie. So you can't make like a cream pie or an apple pie. You can make chocolate chip cookies. You can make popcorn balls, certain types of like chocolates or candies or whatever. But when it came down to cake, you couldn't use certain frostings. Like you couldn't use cream cheese frosting because they consider it, time temperature safe. It's not safe if you have it sitting out for a certain amount of time. So that was obviously restrictive, but I was like, this is still leaps and bounds over what I can do, completely illegal. So this developed when I was doing this course. And so I was like, oh my gosh, well, I'm already getting out of this job. All I need to do is find a job that has better hours because I was working 6 days a week. So that has better hours so that on like the weekends and the time off, I could start creating this brand and this business. So I left that job. I went to a different job where I was an executive pastry chef, and I had a staff of 7 women, 2 spoke English, that I had to teach.
Yeah.
And, so, but let me tell you, I loved those women dearly.
Yeah.
Even though they barely understood what I said, I was still able to teach them and explain to them why and use somebody else to kind of translate a little bit. And the work that they produced without ever knowing anything besides what they were taught at this location was phenomenal. Yeah. And when I left, we all cried in a circle. I left kind of on my own terms. I didn't like the way the management was. So I was kind of like, you know what, I think it's my time to go. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to figure it out. And then actually I got a call from Lincoln Tech in Shelton. Mm-hmm. And they said, hey, we'd love for you to come out and interview for a teaching position. We only have, part-time, but let's see how this goes. So I was like, all right, well, it's better than nothing. So I went out and I got the job. And they were like, yeah, we really only have part-time now. And at first I was like, well, I'm not going to take it then. But then I had a falling out with that job and I was like, sign me up. Like, I'm done with that other job. I was not happy at all. Management is so important. You don't realize how important management is when it comes to your job. So I left and then I started at Lincoln Tech. But actually the best part is about 2 weeks before I started Lincoln Tech, or actually a little bit longer than that, the bakery got a phone call that I worked at. And I didn't know this until multiple days later because the owner didn't tell me right away. But they called looking for the head pastry chef because it was Food Network and they had a show. And they were like, we think your pastry chef would work really well for this show. Like, this is so-and-so casting or whatever. And so they didn't tell me for a couple of days. And they were like, yeah, well, they don't want to see me on the TV. And I was like, what? And he was like, I'm not interested. And I was like, well, I'm interested. Like, yeah, the call was for me, not you, bud. So I called back. And at this point, I've been trying out for Food Network shows for 4 years prior to that. And, you get far on some shows and you don't get it. And then you don't get calls for other shows. And, it's constant back and forth. So I called, interviewed on the phone. Then I interviewed on Zoom. Then I probably interviewed on Zoom again. Then they were like, we want you to make X, Y, and Z. So then you make it and then you present it on Zoom and you cut it open and you explain everything you did. And then I got, I think, one last interview and they send a packet of, sign off your life basically, yeah. Right? So they send a packet and they're like, okay, we'll get back to you if you're on it. And I'm like, well, I've never signed a packet before. I've been pretty far for spring baking and a couple other shows. And I was like, I've never signed a packet before. So this has got to be something good. This show is the Girl Scout Cookie Championship. I was a Girl
gonna ask
Scout.
you what
I
show
was
you-
I was a Girl Scout as a kid, so I was like, I mean, this is got to be in the bag. I just had such a good feeling about it, and I'm like I said, I'm really into like aura and like karma and all that stuff. So I just knew it, and so I got the call. They're like, "Yep, you're gonna be on the show next week." It was like I had like I don't know, like a week to prepare. So they kind of gave me a base outline of what was going to happen and challenges. And I was like, okay, well, I don't really know what's going to happen, but I could try.
Yeah.
So at home, I was just like testing a bunch of things. And was like, all right, well, this is kind of like my game plan going into it. And we'll go from there. So it was taped in Jersey City, which obviously driving from Stanford is not that far.
No.
But I lived in Milford at the time, so so that didn't help.
Yeah.
It tacked on an extra hour or whatever, but it was fine. So we went out there, and taping was from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. 2 days. So that was it's stressful. I look at those kid shows and I'm like, I know the stress that I put myself through for just 2 days worth of filming, right? Because it was just one episode. Mm-hmm. Those kids are on that show for a whole season. Mm-hmm. They're filming for at least 2 weeks if they make it to the end.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know how much stress that was for an adult. I couldn't imagine what a kid would feel like. And so like, I can't watch them. I can't watch those shows because I'm like, those kids and their emotions too. Like as an adult, you kind of like, all right, well, you got to look on the bright side. Kids don't know what bright side is.
Yeah.
They just see darkness.
At like 12 years old, you're starting to learn your emotions.
Right.
Not learn, but
yeah, but if you're like 10 and you're like, well, you lost.
It's like,
and you're like, so I purposely don't watch those shows because it just hurts me. I'm like, I don't know how you could put a kid through that.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I got on the show. I did well. I won the first round. I got second in the second round, which I think is BS. But, honestly, the guy who won only won because his cake was taller. That point blank. Like, that's all I could say is it looked fancier because it was taller. That's it. There's nothing else. But, is what it is.
Exactly.
You know what? What mattered was when I announced, because you're not allowed to announce that you're on a show until it's it's announced. So I announced I was on the show on like Facebook or something in the Milford groups, and everybody was like, "Where's your shop? Where's your storefront?
Yeah.
Where are you located?" And I was like, "Nowhere." In my house. So I was like, shit, this is the time. This is the time.
Everyone's looking for you.
Yeah, this is the time to take that little piece of paper that I drew when I was like 18 years old and put it into fruition.
Yeah.
So I had a buddy of mine who was looking to start open a second business, and he's like, hey, I want to start a food truck, but obviously I don't need all this space. Would you want to like do 50-50 on this retail space? And I was like, okay. Counting them in. Okay. It's like 750 square feet. So I would get, like almost 400 of it. Okay. I could make that work. That means I have to pay half the rent, half the utilities, half everything. And I was like, okay, well, let's go look at it. Yeah. So that space is the space that I'm in. It's about a mile from my house. It's 252 Melba Street. If anybody's familiar with Milford and like bakeries in Milford, Kathy's Cookies, which, Kathy's Famous Cookies, you could find her probably in a lot of grocery stores and stuff too. That was her first location. And I already was like, well, if she made it here, because her location now is like 2,500 square feet probably, like huge. I'm like, so if she made it in this spot, I could make it in this spot. So we go in, and the color of the walls already is the blue in my logo. So I wouldn't even have to paint. I was like, fate. Good. Fate. This is fate. Like it's written on the walls, literally. So I said, yeah, let's do it. And, sign the lease, pandemic happened, yada, yada. Eventually open. Now I bought literally like a little chest freezer to start. I was like, I'm not going to really need a freezer. Because I didn't do loans or anything like that. Like I used $6,000 of my own money to start up my business that I just had in life savings. So I just got like a little chest freezer that was like $100 at Best Buy, and I grew out of it the moment I opened. Jeez. I was like, oh, okay. I was trying to be, fiscally responsible. And so I grew out of it literally that day.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, well, that's that. So I had to buy a freezer, which was like $1,200. But I just sucked it up because at that point I was like, well, that just is a good thing, right? I grew out of my little poo-poo freezer that now is in my garage for all our, frozen pizzas. But
sounds like a good thing to me.
Listen, my husband was happy about it. He's like, oh, great. Now I could store stuff in there.
Yeah.
So I already started, with that in mind. My main thing was if I could run this business by myself, I would. Why? Because profitability. But you just can't. So I was like, well, how can I get around this? So I started taking some of my students from Lincoln Tech and using them as interns. They have to do an internship as a part of their program. I had to do it when I was at Johnson & Wales. So it's the same thing. So I would have like 2 or 3 interns work for me at a time. They have to do 18 hours a week. So I was able to supply them with 18 hours and we just bumped out a lot of product. And I didn't hire somebody for a year. So I literally banked every dollar I made for a year. And that was awesome. And then, and then my current assistant, Jess, I hired her last June. Is it last June or what was it, 2023?
Yeah.
I hired her in June of 2021. I know. I hired her in June of 2021. And I've had, multiple interns at the time, but when I saw the way she worked, and I saw her, level of detail on things, I was like, she's worth the money. She's worth every penny. Yeah. I started her off with decorating sugar cookies, which is like one of the harder things because you don't learn that at school. You just kind of do that on your own. So it was St. Patrick's Day. She made these like funny shamrocks that had like a winky face, and then these beer signs, and they looked just as good as the ones I made. And I was like, all right, good. This is like what you're in charge of on your internship. You're gonna make all these. And she was like my cookie person. She cranked it out, and then I started having her do cakes. She's like, oh yeah, I do cakes at home. I'm like, great, you're gonna work on some with me. And it just grew, and I was like, wow, this girl is really, really talented, and I could mold her and help her and guide her to be even better, which is great. And so I hired her. I was like, after your externship, you're hired. And she's like, great, because unemployment was like kicking off that. Yeah, I remember, because it was like you got extra money. Well, right when I hired her, it was like 2 weeks before. She's like, yeah, they're pulling the rug. It was like unemployment benefits gone.
It was ending. Yeah.
Yeah. So the timing was just really perfect. And so it's been really, really fabulous. She's actually leaving me now, to move on to her next stage of life, and I'm really sad about it. But I'm really happy to just have watched her grow and watch her become so much better and so much more talented. And she just has such a natural skill of being a manager. And when I'm with her, I don't have to tell her anything. Like, she reads my mind. I'll be like, oh, Jess, by the way, and she already did it. And I'm just like, okay. Sorry I even mentioned it. Yeah, she's just really kick-ass. And I hope that, her next journey in life brings her lots of happiness and prosperity. So. Oh,
good.
Yeah. But so I have so that's my main assistant. And then I have another one who's more of, right now, she's more of like a worker bee, but we're training her to kind of take over for Jess Bella. And she was a student of mine, and she makes fondant, like 3D characters and flat characters like nobody's business. She is so good at it. I look at it, I'm like, okay, we have 3 My Little Pony characters you have to make this week. Here's a video, have at it. And I come in the next day and I'm like, are you kidding me? These are perfect. She's so talented at like the sculpture of things and making the fondant like so smooth and so perfect. And I'm like, damn, like I can't even do that. Like I could do it, but like it's just like when you find people that are almost better than you or better than you at your job, you're like, that's why I'm gonna pay you to do the things that I'm like okay at, but you're even better at it. So yeah, she's gonna step in and take Jess's spot as the head assistant, and so I'm looking forward to that, and having another intern actually start tomorrow. So we're kind of starting back up again, because I was pregnant last year. I had my daughter on December 2nd, so that whole last Q4 was just so tough because I couldn't do anything. I was so tired. I was so miserable.
Yeah.
I was fat,
And you're very pregnant.
uncomfortable. Yeah, and just everything. Like I couldn't lift anything. Everything just sucked.
That's why I'm never getting pregnant.
Yeah, listen, don't do it, man.
I'm never getting
So
pregnant,
it was really
ever.
tough. I couldn't put myself out there for my business or for anything for that matter. So I'm very much looking forward to what's going on now. I mean, I've got a partnership with the Giggling Pig in Milford, which is like a craft studio.
Is it? I just love that name.
I know.
Giggling Pig.
It's cute. It's really, really cute.
I'm a sucker for names.
Right? When you have a good name, it just like carries over with your business. But yeah, this woman, Michaela, she owns the one in Milford. And we just did a collaboration where I went to her studio. I taught 25 kids how to do some decorate Valentine's Day cupcakes. And then one of her artists taught them how to do like a watercolor cupcake painting. And it was awesome. It was so fun. It was messy as hell, but that's like, what do you expect? It's a craft studio. So we did that. We're also partnered again, but with Dockside in Milford.
In Milford, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm doing for adults though, not kids, a cookie decorating Galentine's event. And I don't know what they're doing for the craft part of it, but it's going to be at Dockside. And we just sold out on tickets. So that was awesome. But we do have like 2 more kids events coming up. One in March, we're going to do mug MUG cake. I know it sounded like mud, but mug cake. So basically we can't bake anything obviously at the craft studio, but we can microwave. And so we're going to make microwavable mug cakes with the kids. They're going to, they get their own mugs. They get to decorate the mugs with all the Sharpies in the world. 72 colors to be specific. Just got them on Amazon.
Sounds good to me.
And they're going to make a green funfetti cake. And one they're going to decorate to look like a rainbow. So marshmallows as the clouds. And then like those sour belts as the rainbow, and gold sprinkles. And then the other one, I'm going to teach them how to make a little fondant bear, and we're going to put like a little orange goatee on it with a little hat. So, just make it stupid. That's all you really got to do. And they love it. So that's what we're doing for March. And then for April, we're going to do an Easter cupcake class. So, that's been awesome. I'm also in the talks with a brewery, more up north, doing their birthday extravaganza. It's basically we're doing a cupcake and beer tasting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that is for 5 churches. You ever been there?
No.
Neither have I. So I'm really excited.
Is that the one? That's not New Britain, is it?
Oh yeah,
maybe it is.
Yeah, is that like more north?
Yeah.
And New London's like more outwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because Central's by it. Central.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a New
Okay. So yes, it's in New Britain.
That's only why was just New Britain kicked in when we said 5 churches.
Yeah. So I've never been or heard of them, but I'm really excited because they do a lot of sours, which is totally up my alley.
Yeah.
Sours are my jam. So yeah, I'm excited to make some cupcakes, pair some beer, and just talk about it because I mean I like to talk a lot. That's why I was a good kid. Good person for this.
I'm actually going to be in your old neck of the woods in a couple of weeks.
In Stanford?
In Stanford. I'm actually covering a comedian, Michael Blackston.
Oh, cool. Is that at the Palace?
Yeah, the Palace on the 26th.
Nice.
Of
That's
February.
Cool. So. That's really cool. The last time I went to the Palace was, you know how like they always have those like snowboarding movies?
Yeah.
And then you get like a free ticket. Yeah, me and my husband went there because we both snowboard. I am not that great. He is a pro snowboarder, but we snowboard in Killington. So, Warren something are those movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went and we got tickets.
My first time going there.
To Killington?
Yeah, no, to the Palace.
To the Palace. It's really nice.
I've never been to Killington ever in my life.
Yeah, it's probably, I don't know if it's the biggest, but it's definitely top 3 in Vermont. So
our last guest is actually in Vermont at the moment.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the boxing guy.
Really?
I'm trying to blank what his name is.
You're gonna have to insert that later.
Yeah, it's Mamba something. I'm really drawing a blank. Yeah, he's got his card somewhere.
But it's cool, and so
I know his name is Josh.
Well, there you go. That's a start. So I'm really looking forward to just putting my business more out there. And, if any businesses are listening and they want to do collab on something, like, let me know. I'm really into doing that. I mean, I really want a brewery to be like, hey, can we brew a beer with your dessert? And I'll be like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I I'm a beer nerd. I'm just a nerd in general, but a beer nerd. And I would love to like brew some sort of beer, especially that I would drink, because I'm not into like porters or stouts. And everybody's like, oh yeah, stouts, peanut butter, chocolate, nuts, which is great. But like, I would love to do a shandy or like some sort of sour or a lambic, like something like OEC would produce, or for instance, like farm ale, farm style, Berliner Weiss, a Goes, like anything like. You're like, does that taste like dirt? Yes. I'm okay with dirt.
It's the Mamba Boxing Club.
Oh, cool.
It's actually Milford based as well.
Oh, really? That's awesome. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool.
It actually drops on Tuesday. Well, two Tuesdays ago when this is out.
Tuesdays ago.
But yeah, it's funny that you say that, because we were at this event that's on this park behind us. Lou and his partner, usually they do the live podcast there. Mm-hmm. And remember we were talking to one of the guys from New England Brewing.
Oh, they're great.
And I was like, I don't know much about beer, but like it's the same thing I was talking about, the Dr. Chris thing.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
I want to attach my name to a beer.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, oh, we should talk about the collab and this and that. I go, okay, well, I'll never talk to you ever again.
No, you should. And
he'll never reach out to me.
The guy who does the artwork there, he works there, like, he does the pours and stuff. Is awesome. I went to actually a couple years ago. It was in New Haven, and it was a gallery show of all art from people who create beer labels. Yeah. He was one of them. And they had the guy from Burlington there, the woman who does Stony Creek. It was really, really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think my favorite beer from Nebco is 668.
Is it? Yeah.
Neighbor of the Beast. Yeah.
I go actually for when the food trucks are there.
Oh, yes.
I go every time.
Food trucks are great.
Because I just shoot down. I live in Waterbury, so I just shoot down 63.
Yep.
I always go, and especially when there's the pizza truck.
I was gonna say, I think Zoo Parties was there last time I was there. Can't go wrong.
And Jamal, who I think his name is Jamal, he's one of the big top guys there. Mm-hmm. And when we had the Brewers Guild, Phil.
Yeah, I listened to that episode. It was great.
I don't think he's with the Brewers Guild anymore. But when he was, because I forgot what he was. I saw on his Instagram he was somewhere else. Mm-hmm. But Jamal, they have like a not charity, like a scholarship. Mm-hmm. And Jamal was the recipient of one of the scholarships.
Oh, that's so cool.
And he helped him learn, and then I'm BSing the story at the moment. Not BSing, but like I'm clearly not telling it correctly.
Well, it all makes sense.
But now he's in New England Brewing. He's moving up in the.
That's awesome.
He's in like the 30 under 30. Like the people watching this and that. So.
I know. Now that I'm going to be 32, I'm like, yes, give me in the 40s. I was a part of the 40 under 40 for Milford last year, which was pretty cool. I already missed the 30. Well, I started my business at 29, so
I was going to start my own.
Why not?
It's going to be the 42 under the 42, and I'll be the 42 years old. I'll name myself.
Yes.
I'll just name myself.
That's all you need.
So
listen, you can make a plaque on the internet. That's all you need, right?
Exactly. I do have some ideas, but I gotta focus on one at a time because I got 50 billion of them going through my head.
Yeah. So speaking of ideas, my business is obviously a cupcake shop, but it's a little different than your average cupcake shop because we only make miniature cupcakes.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I see
I brought some, so we're going to do a live tasting, and we'll talk about it. But so when I was in Darien, nobody wanted regular sized cupcakes. Obviously, Fairfield County is a little bit more health conscious than the rest of Connecticut, so it's harder to sell full on dessert. So I would make.
What the hell's wrong with them?
I know. I would make miniature cupcakes, and they would sell really well. And there's actually a woman in Las Vegas. She owns a bakery called TSP, as in I'm assuming as in teaspoon, but it could be something else. And she only makes miniature cupcakes. And I was like, wow, she's really successful. So obviously it works, the model. So I originally thought I was going to have a truck and like just drive around and honk my truck and whatever.
I have an idea for a truck.
You got to write these things down.
I have this one written down.
Okay, good.
It's a peanut butter jellies truck.
Oh.
And it's called peanut butter jelly time. I'll be blasting that song,
Yes.
and it'll be my face on the.
Have you ever had a fried peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
I have not.
Neither have I, but I would try it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like
Sounds
the one reason why I don't go to the Big E.
That's exactly why I brought it up, because I was like, that's such a Big E food.
Because the only reason why I haven't gone yet, because I know I'm going to die of diabetes there.
No, not if you start with the tempura fried broccoli and ranch.
Oh yeah.
That I've had that. It's so good.
I know I will die there.
It's like
if I
healthy,
go
but
there.
not.
We'll go next year. We'll dive.
Okay,
Yes.
that sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Like my next step, one of the many things I have planned is I want to start a YouTube channel of like local.
Yeah.
This and
Yes.
like, oh, let's try this. Actually, I just decided we're probably going to go live on Instagram
Cool.
as we go. Might as well.
Tag me.
So okay, I gotta figure out how to go live though. But like I like that kind of stuff. Like
Yeah. No, it's
the,
interesting.
You know, like ritual pizza. Like you know, like they go to the we were just talking about New England Brewing.
Oh yeah.
And like they just like have like these different not sandwiches. I don't know. I'm thinking sandwiches because I'm thinking peanut butter jelly stuff.
Yeah.
But like they're interesting, you know.
Well, before COVID, when my husband has a lot of friends, but none of them live around here.
Yeah.
So whenever they would come visit us, we would do like our own little pizza tour of New Haven. So we would go to Modern, and we'd just get cheese.
Yeah.
Get one pie cheese, one pie their specialty, and then we would go to Pepe's and Sally's and Bar, and just walk.
It's funny that you say that, because we had the same idea of
and it's
that.
great. And you know what? It's funny. Somebody was like, oh, my son doesn't know what to do with his friends, and he's like 16, and what do? I said, well, we go on pizza tours. And she said her son did that with his friends. She was like, they had like the best time ever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I mean, what else are you gonna do at 16? In Stanford, it was like you would hang out at the Burger King parking lot.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I know.
it's so sad. That was the cool thing to do.
That was also like 18.
Yeah.
I'm 42, so I'm still doing that.
But that was like the thing to do. And I'm like, it's kind of sad. Like, you can't go anywhere, right? At like 16 years old. At least at 18, they have like, college night.
Yeah.
But at 16, it's like, go walk around the mall. Like, malls aren't even going to exist anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
I'm not ignoring you. I'm trying to figure out how to tag. I'm trying to
it's
figure out
all
how to
good.
tag you live on this.
It's all good. I could talk about more things that we offer at my shop. So like I said, we do miniature cupcakes. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
But we do regular if you really want them. Special order for birthdays, etc. And we do specialty cakes, and that could be anything from, I just did a cake that looked like Sonic the Hedgehog, for her 5th birthday. We did a cake that had like a red barn on top with farm animals on the bottom. We do wedding cakes, so I do a lot of, just white cakes with textured buttercream, which is really popular, and fresh flowers.
Yeah. Did you ever see those videos of those people that
like drop the cake?
No. The one that they like make them look like really dogs.
Oh, yeah.
And then they cut them in front of the dog.
Babies or something like that.
And the dog's face is like, what the hell is that?
those are interesting.
I feel,
I've done a couple realistic ones, but not many. So one I did was a Canon camera. I did a rainbow trout, and I did a luggage. Yeah, so I mean, you would think like, oh, that's so cool. Not a lot of people order them. They're also very expensive because they take a lot of time and a lot of energy and things like that. But crazy enough, I would say the number one thing that we get asked to do is anything baseball related, which I guess is like super Americana. But we do a lot of baseball, or softball for girls. We do softball too, and a lot of sports team logos, whether that's something big like NFL or MLB, but we also do a lot of local teams. So we do cakes, we do cupcakes, we also do decorated sugar cookies. What's cool about that is I actually have a 3D printer, and I make all my own cookie cutters. So if you have a design or an animal or something that you want, we can create anything, because I can make a cookie cutter, I can make a stencil. I have an edible printer. Like, I have all these tools, and I have an art background, so I can make a lot of things. So, for instance, the Giggling Pig that I was talking about.
Yeah.
For them, for their parties, because they do a lot of birthday parties, they wanted to kind of like up their game in the sense of what they can offer as like a goodie bag. So they sent me a picture of, because they have a lot of character logos. So they sent me the pig with the party hat. And so I made the cutter. I made the stencil. And I know they're offering them, at least at the Milford one. We're in talks about offering them at other locations. But they're called paint your own cookies. So it's a white cookie and then it has an outline in black, kind of like a coloring book. And then it comes with a brush and a little piece of paper that actually has like spots of food coloring. So you just dip the brush in water, rub it on the food coloring, and then you could paint the cookie. So, but you could only, you could buy a stencil, but how many people can say, well, I can make your logo into that? Not many. So that's one thing I think my business sets apart of other bakeries. When I say we're customizable, I really mean it. Like we will do anything in terms of design. So many people come like with a picture from Pinterest, which is like, okay, but I'd rather you tell me, can you make something in this category, right? Can you make Sonic? Can you make mermaid? Can you, I had somebody ask me for a karate unicorn cake once. And like when you get into like that, I'm like, heck yeah, we can do it. Because that's the fun part when I get to like kind of, do my own thing and get really creative with it. Yeah. I don't like to copy a Pinterest cake. I can get influence from it. But I mean, technically that's somebody else's artwork. And like that might not be my style, or I might not know how to do that. A lot of things are made with molds and stencils and stuff like that. Especially, I can make stencils, but molds I can't. I don't have the whereabouts to make molds. So a lot of fondant things, I'm like, I'm going to have to charge you an arm and a leg now because I have to buy that fondant mold on Amazon for $20 and probably only going to use it on your cake. Yeah. So that's why I kind of like to, do my own thing. We also make French macaroons, which I don't like French macaroons, but a lot of people do. And then something about French macaroons is they are naturally gluten-free because they're made with almond flour, which is just ground up almonds. And the cookie, it doesn't matter the color. The cookie part all tastes the same. So if you go in a bakery and it's like red, pink, green, yellow, the cookie's all the same. What makes a macaroon special or taste different is the filling. So obviously if it's pink, there's probably like a strawberry or raspberry filling. Green is apple, lime, something green. But the cookie's always the same. And so we have those. We do have flourless brownies. We change the flavor of those like monthly. Right now it's triple chocolate. We did Reese's at some point, Heath Bar. We've done a brownie with Rice Krispie on top of it, which is pretty cool. And then we always have miniature chocolate chip and sprinkle cookies, which is like a soft baked sugar cookie. So we do offer some other things. Oh, and dog treats. Can't forget about the doggies. Yeah. We offer homemade dog treats. I like dogs, kind of. Yeah, I love dogs. I love animals in general. I'm such a... Oh, gosh,
I should have to rephrase this because, like, I'm not a big animal person. Yeah. For myself. Yeah. But, like, if you have one, I'll pet them.
Right. And then that's that. Well, I'm going to actually go off topic a little bit and talk about tattoos because I see both of you guys are tatted. Yes. I'm also tatted, but obviously you can't... They're, like, all hidden. I stopped counting, but I have at least 20.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. So... let's see. So my first tattoo is on my ribs. It's like this musical note heart thing. Yeah, I just was going into it.
So full blast.
Yep, and that's for my grandfather who passed. All my tattoos are like super meaningful and stuff. So that was my first one, which I got.
Ooh, that's why I hired you for.
Oh, he cleaned that off.
Yeah,
that's a nice.
That's why I hire him for, and that's why I always that's why I always recommend. Someone who wants to start a podcast, go to Royal Fox Studios.
There you go.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
so you said it was
good.
about your grandfather.
So my first tattoo is on my rib cage. I got it like on my 19th birthday, and it was for my grandfather who passed when I was like in middle school. He worked for a company called Steven Scott, who would book different musical acts for events, so weddings or corporate events and stuff like that. And the S's in Steven Scott were the oh my gosh, I'm terrible.
I draw blanks all the time with
my music notes. Clef. Okay. Treble clef. That might be wrong. I'm so sorry for my music people if that's wrong.
Yeah.
But those the S's. So it's like two notes that are in the shape of a heart. So that was the first one I got, and then I have paw prints on my ankles for my aunts. They don't have kids; they only have dogs. So me and my sister are kind of like their kids. So that was my second one, and then it just gradually kept going from there. So on my foot, I have a Hershey Kiss. My dog growing up was named Hershey after going to Hershey Park all the time. Yeah, she was like a black lab mix. And then I also have my current dog, Penny, a little like sketch of her on my ankle. She's like a complete mutt. She's from Georgia, like a rescue. So I couldn't even tell you what she's made out of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then on my knee, I have a bee. So my sister's favorite color is yellow and mine is red. So
or is it red? Is it red and yellow?
No, it's not colored. It's actually black and white. But the story behind it is she thought I was going to like move away to like Vermont or something because my husband really wants to move there. And she got really sad. So I bought her a ring, and the ring was a ladybug, and then mine was a bee. And so it was like, a little symbolic, like because of the colors. So that little bee is for her. But I'm actually going to Vicky at Valkyrie in Milford in a couple weeks to get the whole knee. So the top of the knee is going to say Eliza, which is my daughter's name, and then it's going to be a bunch of different roses because that's her middle name. So that'll be that. Yeah. So that's my next one. On my thigh, I have a raccoon with hops for my husband because he really the hops are like kind of wrapped around the body, and so he likes beer, but also he when we play board games, he's just really nasty and like always is trying to come up with these like sly ways of winning. And I remember I got so mad at him one day. I was like, "You're like a raccoon in the garbage, just like munching on onions."
Like a trash panda.
Yeah. I was like, "That's what you are right now." And so ever since then, I was like, "You're my raccoon." And so that's what I have here. I have, the slice and bake cookies?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the Halloween ones on my leg, and that's because my mom made them for me when I was at Johnson Wales, and we were so excited. I was like, I used to eat these all the time as a kid, and then we ate them, and we were like, these are not good.
No, yeah.
I mean, especially when you go to culinary school and you're used to, like, baking your own cookies, I used to, like, sit there and make, like, a batch of 12 chocolate chip cookies for study time. So,
Like, yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm used to that. I'm like, oh, these are not, a lot of people will fight me on that and be like, they're still good. And I'm like, that's fine. I just don't see it.
I have a tramp stamp.
You have a tramp stamp?
Yeah.
What is it of?
My last name.
That's really funny.
And like, I was going to add to it, but I never added to it.
Add your first name?
Well, no. I don't know what the hell I was going to add to it. I have an ass on my arm.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
That's funny.
For people who can't see, it's a donkey.
Yes.
But I got it right because my friend and I, we used to go to Hope Gallery in New Haven because they would have the Sailor Jerry, like I guess he used to be an artist back in whenever the 50s.
Yeah, they're like really classic, like Americana tattoos.
And they used to have, Ordinary would go, they would sling drinks from Sailor Jerry, the
I
alcohol.
love Ordinary.
Yeah, they're good.
Oh,
they're great.
man.
And they would raise money for these two ladies who have their own pit bull rescue. They'd make their own. They would put their own money into it.
Yeah.
And there'd be that's how I got the
cute.
The
anchor.
I can't think of the word.
That's
and now I never thought about it. Everyone asked me if I was in the Navy. I go, what the hell are you talking about?
Oh, yeah. Well, Popeye had that.
Until someone explained to me, oh, you got the anchor.
Yeah.
The story behind that one, I was like, oh, I'll go for the anchor. And Joe Capibianco was going to do it.
Uh-huh.
And the secretary came up and she was like, do you mind if a woman tattoos you? I go, why would I care?
Mm-hmm.
And then his wife tattooed it. And it turns out, I guess some guys are anal about women tattooing them.
Really? Yeah. I've had both men and women, and I will be nothing against men. Women tattoo artists are better. Yeah. I stopped going to men tattoo artists. I have like a good rotation of like 3 or 4 artists that I go to now that are all women. There's just something about the way they put the ink in the skin. It just comes out better. It really does. Maybe because men are more heavy-handed. Like, I've gotten a lot more blowouts.
Yeah.
Or like fading, I guess I should say, from men. And I think it's just, muscle memory and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think I just feel like they're more detailed. aren't you?
Yeah. Well, women, I
And-
feel like in general, are just more detail oriented.
Yeah.
It's just biological.
And yeah, definitely. In this one, the ass. He goes, oh, I was sitting down. He goes, this is exactly how people clearly can't see it. But I was sitting back, and he goes, what do you want? I go, I'll go for the ass on the wall. And he goes, where do you want it? And like how I'm sitting now.
Yeah.
I put my left finger on my right bicep, and exactly that's where he landed. So that's why he's exactly
That's
right
where
there.
He is. That's funny.
I make a joke every once in a while. I'll go like this and make him walk, jokingly. And then I have a sun on my leg.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Grim Reaper on my leg, which I'm gonna cover up at some point. Whatever, I don't care. I got 80s tribal somewhere.
Cool.
The 90s tribal. Right
Yeah.
there. I got a dragon. And everything has no meaning besides. Nothing has any
like complete
meaning.
opposite from what I got.
And then I got a skull bones right there.
Yeah.
The anchor. The skull and bones also came from Brass City Tattoo, one of those $13 from the Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th, yeah.
The Anarchy is a homemade one. That's why it looks kind of shitty. And I got Hope. It looks like it says dope. And I got a Buddhist mantra on my whatever part of my body is there.
Yeah.
And I got a Om on my.
Oh, nice. I definitely want to add
wrist.
an Om eventually.
And Lou has a better meaning to his tattoo. He's got actually meaning to his tattoo.
Oh, you do? Well, I see the fox, which is really awesome. I love it. Yeah. I don't have my logo on my body, but I have something that symbolizes my business. So when I graduated culinary school, I wore these earrings. They were from Betsy Johnson, who's like my favorite designer.
Yeah.
And one earring is a whisk, and one earring is like a little chef mouse. So on my thigh, I have the mouse from the earring, and the actual earring is just wearing like a t-shirt with a heart on it. And so the one on my thigh, instead of a heart, it's a sun, and it's in my logo colors. And I got this like 2014, 2015. So again, just like I knew it was going to happen one day. So I was like, let's, make permanent.
Yeah.
So that's what it symbolized, like me graduating school and also like sticking to the dream kind of thing. But my half sleeve is actually like a feminist half sleeve. So I have a Frida Kahlo tattoo. I have Ruth Bader Ginsburg's like collar. I have a Lady Gaga tattoo. I just love her. But also like not necessarily just people that are famous, but I have representation of like badass women in my life. So my grandmother, her Jewish name is Iris. So I have like this really cool iris flower on the back of my arm. She's a breast cancer survivor, and she actually just turned 91. So she's dope. Oh. Yeah. Marilyn, she's great.
That's like the best name too, Marilyn.
She's awesome. And you know what? She taught me how to sew. And now I make things for people when they have babies. I make stuffed animals and stuff like that. And I started working on like clothes, which is really cool. I have for my mom. So my mom used to sing me Hush Little Baby as a kid. So it's a mockingbird with a diamond ring in its claw and like one of those antique mirrors around it. And then I have for my best friend Megan from college, I have a sperm whale. And the story behind that is me and Megan went out to a gay bar in New York, and I actually got roofied, which is kind of weird because like I'm a woman, but I was in a wig, so like there's a bunch of reasons why there's a possibility. But anyway, so I got roofied, and I took like 2 sips out of my Corona, and I was like, wow, I am not gonna last till 2 a.m. here. Like I am just so tired all of a sudden. And she said I turned around to her and said, I can't see anything. And then I was just on the floor. And so like that, I mean, she's very important to me in my life in general, but that moment like gave me this extra, like she's really important to me because she basically saved me. Who knows? Yeah. Who knows when you're like blacked out from something, like what's going on or who's around you or whatever. So, so now I have, she has a sperm whale on her leg. So now I have a matching one.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And we're also live, by the way.
Cool.
And Care, our co-host, just said hi.
Hello.
And I think I can't see who else is hi, Care. I'll write hi. I can't see who else is here because like I don't have my cheaters on. Hold on, let me get closer.
Do you wear glasses and you're not wearing them?
Yeah.
Oh,
Brown Button Creations, so thanks.
cool.
So I'll give them a shout out.
Yeah.
And Craves by Aves. Oh, Kara says we're so glad we went live. So
Yeah.
I'm glad
Well,
we
wait
went
until
live, too.
they get to see us eat
Yeah.
some cupcakes.
Yeah. Lou, that one's on, right? Because I might have to move on that side. Okay.
Awesome. Hey, everybody on Instagram. What's up? I'm Adrianna Linkstrom, and I own Good Morning Cupcake in Milford. So we are actually going to do a little tasting. I specialize in miniature cupcakes, so that's what we're going to be eating.
Yep.
And so I have a 6-pack here right now, and I'll explain everything that's in
I got
it.
a little fat.
Well, I tried to move the
I got to
chair.
squeeze
It's
it.
hard
I'm
to-
sorry.
No, you're good.
Here.
You're good.
I'll do right there. That way
All
I'm
right,
partially
cool.
in it too, which I don't really care. I could just smell that.
Yes, we just opened the box. So in the box, we have 6 cupcakes.
I just became diabetic.
I'm going to see if I can,
I could just smell it.
There we go. So we have 6 cupcakes going on. So first one on the left is our signature. It's called the Good Morning Cupcake. It is a coffee milk cake with maple buttercream and cinnamon streusel. The reason why I call it our signature, so in Rhode Island where I went to college, coffee milk is like a huge thing. I've never
Is it?
heard of coffee
I never
milk.
heard of it.
No, I never heard of coffee milk before until I went to Rhode Island, and it's basically you brew your coffee in milk. Yeah.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not a big coffee fan, but I might have to try
Yeah. Well, we could always make Lou try it too. We can't like leave him out.
that. Okay.
Yeah. Don't worry. I got you.
Yeah, we got a little.
So there's that. This one with the carrots on top, that's our rabbit season. So it's carrot cupcake with cheesecake frosting.
Yeah.
And I say cheesecake frosting instead of cream cheese frosting because I literally bake off a cheesecake and then whip it and turn it into frosting. So.
A1007201 just joined. Is that a bot? I'm confused.
With my luck, it's a yes.
Yeah.
For sure. And then next to it, we have black velvet. So that is a red velvet cake without the enormous amount of food coloring. So your mouth isn't going to turn red and other things. And then this is a very special one for this month. That's probably the most popular is raspberry white chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a white chocolate cupcake, raspberry buttercream, and that's a white chocolate coin on top.
Yeah.
These two I brought because I thought it was interesting to mention.
The glitter one is kind of catching my attention.
Yeah, so this one's gluten-free and this one's vegan.
Oh, okay.
So we do gluten-free and vegan, but they still taste really great, and that's why I brought them. So this one right here in the middle, that's our gluten-free one. It's a chocolate cake, strawberry jam in the middle, strawberry buttercream dipped in dark chocolate.
Yeah.
So that one's called strawberry, chocolate-covered strawberry.
I just thought about something. I do Uber Eats every once in a while, because I have a car payment I got to take care of. I want to get rid of it sooner. And I was just doing it last night, and I went to go pick up this order at a pizza place, and the order was a pepperoni pizza with vegan cheese. I go, what the fuck is this?
It's made out of like either almonds or cashews.
I go, then I clicked. I go, oh, they're probably dairy conscious.
Yeah.
They can't eat dairy. So
yeah. So the whole reason why I started doing vegan cupcakes at my store was I thought like all the Yaleys were gonna come and get vegan stuff, and that's not the case at all. It's,
none of the hipsters.
None of the
came?
hip can't.
Those
Yeah.
bastards.
So actually,
They don't listen to my podcast anyways. It's okay. I can say that.
The reason why I do vegan now is a lot of people have dairy and egg allergies, especially young kids.
Yeah.
Or they're introducing cake to their kids for the first time.
There's a bakery in Windsor, not Winstead, Windsor. They used to share all the time. I think they're called Momenta Moments, and they actually it's everything free. Like it's like because it's nut free, allergy free, all those kind of whatever ones I can't remember.
Yes, there's one in Glastonbury as well called Sweet D's.
Yeah,
like allergen free.
And they started because one of the grandkids that they had, one of the grandkids was like severely allergic.
Yeah,
and like deathly allergic to stuff. So that's why they
makes sense. Yeah. So that one is called lemon raspberry donut. So it's a vegan lemon cake, raspberry jam.
Yeah.
And then like a royal icing glaze on top.
What's the mushroom one right there?
That one's the Good Morning.
Oh, that's the one. Oh, that's right. You said that already.
That's all good.
Okay. I'm surprised I actually got followers to watch me.
That's awesome.
It's the first time I've been live in my life. I got Lou, do you want to try one?
Yeah, I'll take the coffee one.
Which one's the
Alright.
coffee one?
This one.
That one, okay.
Yeah.
I want to
I'll let you handle it.
I want to have Lou get the first dibs, so
All right. So.
I gotta try the
Which one are you
glitter
thinking?
one.
I'll hold down the box.
Perfect, thanks. I
You're
knew
welcome.
you were here for a reason.
I gotta help.
Sorry,
somehow.
we're live, so I get shitty jokes. I tell. So. That's why I've never been a yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that one was
That's
glittery.
that's a big thing right now. Not pooping glitter, but just like having glitter in like your drinks at a bar and stuff like that. Yeah, glittery sours. Yeah, it's called disco dust. Yeah, yeah. Which I guess makes it cooler somehow.
I'm trying not to chew into the mic because I know those people that can't stand.
Oh, I know.
They
The
can't
chewing
stand
noises.
chewing.
How it tastes.
Oh, it tastes amazing. It
It's
has such a
awesome.
raspberry flavor to it. That's raspberry. Right?
Strawberry.
Strawberry.
But they honestly
Close
taste
enough.
really close. Yeah.
I'm shitty with my flavors. So. Yeah. You want
I have so many cupcakes every single day.
Oh, it's got filling too.
Yes, that one has a filling. Yeah, that one has a jam filling.
I'm trying to like savor
Savor the
the
flavor.
flavor.
Yeah. So what's awesome about miniature cupcakes is not only are they cute, but they're small. So you ever go to like those donut shops and you want one of everything and it's just not possible?
Mm-hmm.
So now you could have, 3, 4, or 5 if you're really feeling it. And you could have different flavors and try them all.
I can go for some milk now.
Right? That's what
No.
my husband does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
So,
I don't think we have any more milk from when Santa was here. Yeah,
did, Santa, did Santa come to visit? Oh my
yeah,
God,
we
I
had
love that.
we interviewed Santa and his elf
Oh,
Marty,
that's awesome.
and yeah, it was a good time. We actually went out to we went out to dinner afterwards, and they were in full costume, like full
Oh, I
outfit,
love
not
that.
costume, but full outfit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And behind us on Canal Street, there's what's that place called, Lou? I forget. Pier 131.
Mm-hmm.
It was I think it was like a Monday night that we went, and it was like a Monday or Tuesday, and there weren't too many people. There was maybe 10 people in there, mainly at the bar doing best trivia ever.
Oh, that's
Man, I
cool.
never seen so many people get so happy in my freaking life. So many drunk happy people seeing Santa.
Well, that's why they have SantaCon.
There
Oh
he is.
my gosh, that's hilarious.
And yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, the elf drove up into a Mercedes Benz. I go, Santa, what the hell are you paying your elf?
Yeah.
He goes, oh, he's a judge.
Oh,
So it's like, oh, no
that
wonder.
Makes sense.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
That makes
He probably
sense.
gets paid more than Santa.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're also doing in July we're having I'll just do a blank. A food drive with Santa and his
Oh,
elf.
that's fun. Like
Just-
for Christmas in July?
Yeah.
I like
Because
that.
like a lot of people, they do stuff in like December, November for it.
Mm-hmm.
And not that people forget, but like it's tough throughout the rest of the year for some of the nonprofits.
Right.
So that's why we're having it I decided we're gonna have a July luau.
That's fun.
You know, I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to get like a food truck. Then depending on where, I know where it's gonna be, but
Right.
care if you heard that one, but that's where we're going to have it.
Cool.
And if I can get a food truck, I haven't talked to her about it yet. I haven't asked her, but I'm going to pass out Lay's and like I'll have Santa and his elf there.
That's
That's
awesome.
the idea.
Yeah.
I have a shirt people can pre-order with, that's you'll find that information out. I'm going on a tangent, by the way, so I don't know who the hell that is who just joined. JP somebody, thanks for joining. So
Yeah.
people were like, what the hell are you talking about? This is such a random part of the show.
Yeah. We
But-
just we were tasting some cupcakes. So
I still got that taste in my mouth of the strawberry.
yeah.
The glitter, the purple.
He actually had a gluten-free one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one's this month's gluten-free, which is chocolate covered strawberry.
Sounds like a plan. Oh, that's this month's one you said too before.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So we we have we call them our staples, which are like 6 flavors. So that's our signature, the Good Morning.
Yeah. Oh, I put good luck cupcake by accident. It's a good thing you fixed it. You told me it was good morning. Don't worry, it'll be good morning on the podcast.
There you go. Good. So our rabbit season, which is our carrot cake. We have all vanilla, all chocolate, and then vanilla party and chocolate party, which are like vanilla on top of chocolate and chocolate on vanilla.
There, you get more of a special background at the door.
Yeah, there you go. So those are our signature, our staples. And then the rest of them we change out every month. So every time you come into the store, we have 14 different flavors of cupcakes.
14?
Yeah, 14. Yep. So sometimes I'm like, if you just want one of everything, minus the gluten-free and the vegan one, then you can have one of everything in a 12-pack.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I do it. So
Sounds like a plan. I'll be definitely making a visit.
yeah. We are we're like about 8 to 10 minutes off of exit 40 on 95.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're more closer to like West Haven than Stratford.
The Stratford, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason why I know the area is my parents grew up in Bridgeport, so
That makes sense.
like
Yeah.
he used to work in Stratford, so like you learn the area when you
Yeah, absolutely. When you travel it a lot.
yeah exactly.
Makes sense.
But yeah, I just drew a blank. What else was I going to ask you? But hey, whatever. I wing it like the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So.
Sometimes that's the best way to do life.
Yeah, when I have the podcast, I like sounds crazy, but
Yeah.
when I like I don't really look much into you guys. Not you. I don't say it like that, but I look some information up. But like I like to get to know you. So it's like
Well, yeah, you kind of let the conversation organically flow.
Yeah. So like you say something, and it's going to go to the next subject. Like we went from bakery to cupcakes to tattoos.
Yeah.
To, you know, just that way. Like, oh, I would buy from this person, or I would visit this person's store, or I'd use Royal Fox Studios, or.
Well, the thing I think about it is, especially you going to a small business instead of like a big box retailer or something else like that, is you get that personal connection.
Yeah.
So somebody asked me about like how I would define community or my personal community, and I explained that it's my customers because that's my personal community. So, my customers do stuff for me. I do stuff for them. Sometimes I have people come in I've never met before just off the street, and they like tell me their whole life story. Yeah. And I listen and I, give advice if they ask for it and stuff like that. And I mean, you're not going to go somewhere that, wherever. Costco, BJ's, I don't know, and get that connection with somebody, or I have customers come in and I've seen their kids now grow up for 3 years, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe they're so big, and and I talk to them about stuff like that, and you just don't get that with a big retailer. That's why small business is so important, because it's a part of your community and you are a part of their community.
Yeah.
So it's just, and I mean, sometimes it's cheaper to go to the bigger guys, but you're not going to get the same product and you're not going to get the same experience.
Yeah.
Like at all.
Yeah, definitely. And another reason why I have like small businesses on is that I don't know why I'm having a coughing fit all of a sudden, but like it's just like, oh, I would never think about having this or that. Like we've gone from here, we see magicians come in,
which is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, cupcake places, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
The Brewers Guild, jewelry.
Yeah, I just listened to Renee's episode.
Oh yeah.
And I've passed by her store so many times.
Yeah.
And I've never gone in, and she said that she had vintage clothes, which I love.
Yeah, the place is amazing.
Yeah, she said that she has vintage clothes. I love vintage clothes, and from the outside, I would never know that. So listening to your podcast now, I'm like, oh, next time I'm like looking to shop and spend money, I'm definitely going to check her out.
I can't tell you how many times, like I even told her, I can't tell you how many times I've gone to
Christmas tree shop.
Christmas tree shop.
Yes.
And I never paid attention. Oh, I never really paid attention that she was even next door, not in a bad way. Just
well,
I was literally next door.
Yeah, if you're not looking for it, sometimes you don't see it.
Yeah.
And then once you see it, then you can't stop seeing it.
Yeah. So that's another reason why I'm like, oh, I should have this person on, that person on. Some people I reach out, or sometimes I'll post something like, oh, who do you want on, or
right,
or like even like what we did today or yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Someone had to back out, or had to reschedule.
Right.
So, obviously I don't want to cost
Right, you don't want to lose the spot.
I don't want to cost Lou money for losing the spot, because I want to give him my money. It's like crazy it sounds for a spot I had saved up for 2 weeks.
Right.
So I was like, oh, anyone want to come on? And
here we go.
Here we go. The first, I would have come on and talked about myself, but like I'd rather talk to somebody for.
I'm going to suggest So I know two lovely women who just opened up a thrift shop in New Haven. They used to have one in Bridgeport. It was much smaller, but now they have like a full-on, full-size actual shop. It's called Witch Bitch Thrift. Yes.
I know Witch Bitch. Well, I don't know them, but
Yeah.
I know
of them.
know of them.
Yeah, they are so fantastic. They're so awesome. They have an amazing online presence that Virginia has just like built from scratch, and it's a women queer owned business. So
Yeah.
I would definitely love to pick their brains, or obviously have you pick their
Yeah, well,
brains.
you can come on and
I'll be a co-host.
You can be my co-host. Like that's how Care from Dusty Dude started with us.
Oh, cool.
Like I literally asked for, it was like, hey, I did a couple shows by myself.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I work better with somebody. I go, anyone want to?
Well, you can bounce ideas off of somebody else. You know what I mean?
She was the first person that was like, I'll do it, and literally, I thought, not in a bad way. I just thought, well, maybe we'll do one episode together, and
Right.
we'll have like multiple co-hosts,
Mm-hmm.
and we've become friendly. We're I'm gonna be in the Bristol Bazaar when it opens.
Cool.
I don't know the date, but I know it's gonna obviously be open sooner than later. So,
Yeah.
but at some point, I don't know if that sounds. I'm making it sound weird, even though, but like,
No, we got a new viewer though.
oh, do we?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is Chesfield's. I literally don't have my cheaters on, but it's like the Ace Hardware, the True Hardware.
Chatfield True Value.
Yeah, True Value.
There you
I
go.
knew. You know what it was? I think one of them changed from Ace Hardware to True Value.
Yes, because in Stanford we had Ace.
Yeah,
And it changed.
and became friendly we're gonna be in the Bristol Bazaar underneath the tie dye guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I officially got my tax ID number.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I got a new logo from there, and other stuff. And when they are finished, because they were still building everything inside.
Right.
When they finish, I'm going to finally have merchandise in the store.
Very cool. Actually, I wore merchandise. Figured that's a good plug.
This is?
Yeah, this shirt is Good Morning Cupcake merchandise.
I'll do it
Yeah, do a little-
right there. There we go.
So the shirt I'm wearing actually comes in 4 different colors. It's purple, blue, pink, and maybe a different shade of blue. It says Milford on it because that's where I'm at, but the I is actually the cupcake from our logo. So this one's a new one, and then we have another one that's Milford oriented. It's either a white or black long sleeve. On the front, it has 06460, which is our zip code, and then we have a big like emblem on the back of it. So
Oh, good. Yeah.
but we have a couple different things. You can find the merchandise on my website with obviously everything and anything else that you need to know on the website, which is goodmorningcupcake.net. Because somebody stole .com before I can get to it.
Those bastards.
Then they were like, like whatever, GoDaddy's like, oh, do you want it
Yeah.
for $1,000?
Yeah.
And
I
you're
think
like, no, I'll just stick with
I'll
what
tell
I
you a
got.
story about that too. So my last name is Heigl. Sorry, I'm coughing. My last name is Heigl, Heigel.
Mm-hmm.
I bought Heigl.com, and I let the domain go. So, and then someone bought it.
Yep.
So I technically I own Heigl.org as well, currently. So when it was for sale, no, actually no, it was Heigl. I bought Heigl.org and let that one go.
Okay.
And I also had Heigl.com at the time.
Right.
And someone tried reselling me Heigl.org for $1,200.
Yeah, exactly. It's
I
not
was
worth
like,
it.
and he emailed me 3 times. I go, I'll wait until you lapse, and I'll sneak in and I'll pick it up. It elapsed finally, and I own Heigl.org again.
Yeah, I mean, I pay for like my website's domain, like I don't know, $10-$20 a month. I
Yeah.
mean, not a month, a year.
A
So
year.
why would I want to pay $1,000 just to obtain it?
Yeah, I knew a guy who I had a story of. They would buy like when the domains came out, they bought like McDonald's.com
Oh, really?
and like all those crazy like
My dad bought
Mm.
like all of our names.
yeah.
He bought them, yeah, when when that first came out.
And
So my maiden name's Robles, so like
Yeah.
I guess like Adriannarobles.com, his name, my mom's name, my sister's name, everything
Yeah.
like that, and he bought them.
I get it. I have like 15 of them. Just for ideas for like what
No, that makes sense. I mean, I eventually want to own a sister business to my cupcake shop. I want to do an ice cream shop, and I know you really love ice cream.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be called Polar Peggy's, and I own that domain now.
Do you?
Yeah.
I have a ice cream clothing line.
What?
Well, not have it, but I have.
It's in the works.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I actually had a local a Wallingford artist drew the logo for
That's
me.
cool.
And it's gonna. I have idea. I'll tell you off that thing. So like, someone's gonna take my idea if I say it. With my luck.
There you go.
And then that turtle girl or that girl turtle. Someone just I can't read it. I really don't have my cheaters on. I work in a doctor's office and I leave my cheaters at work.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
After work, I don't want to see anything.
Yeah.
That sounds creepy, especially driving down from Waterbury to Shetland.
Yeah,
But
if I don't wear my glasses, I can't see anything.
But like
so.
I'm at like a +1, so like I can't read. I can't read. I can't. You can't see people are joining all right there.
Yeah.
And I can't see who you are right there.
Yeah, I'm at a +3 in one eye and +3.05 in the other.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been wearing glasses since like 4th grade.
Yeah. Well.
To the oh my gosh, the glasses I had in like 4th, 5th grade, the first pair, they were like indestructible. Like I could sit on them and they don't break. Like they were bendy.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
Yeah, they were clearly for kids.
Yeah. We had one person came in because he needed new glasses because they were like, oh, I need, I'm blurry. I would like to get a updated glasses prescription.
Yeah.
And like I printed out for him. I gave it to him. I was like, you shouldn't be even driving. Like I said to myself, I didn't say it to him, but like,
yep.
I go, you should be having surgery with that vision. Like that's what I thought. I go,
yeah,
you should be having some sort of cataract surgery with that. Like, I go, that's double digits.
Yeah, I had a friend in college, and like I kid you not, his glasses were like Coke bottles. They were so thick. They were so thick, and I was just like, wow. At 18, your vision's that bad.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I could ever get LASIK surgery. I don't think I can, because you're awake.
Yeah, well, it's not too bad. It's not as bad as people think.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, they're literally shaving a layer of your eyeball.
Yeah.
While you're awake, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's not as bad. It's not as bad as people think.
Do they numb your eye? Well, then if
they
numb
do.
it, yeah, but do they put drops or do they have to like shoot your eye up?
No, they use drops.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say I don't think I could handle that. Listen, the Novocaine at the dentist, I could barely handle. That stuff sucks.
Yeah, I've seen people. I work in ophthalmology, so I've seen people get stick needles in their eyeballs.
Oh,
so just like
That's a no. That's a no.
And like when I was talking to someone, and he put it in more of a perspective because like I get the freakiness of like putting a needle in your eye. He goes, I do it because I have to. Because I have no choice. Because if he doesn't,
right?
If you'll go blind. No, he can.
Right,
they can go blind. Not That's why
tough.
it actually caused me. Not that I ate shitty or lousy in general. But like it caused me to I don't know if it's like it caused me, but it helped me eat better because of diabetes.
Oh, is that
like
why?
I don't have diabetes,
right?
Not yet, at least. Because I know I'll probably get it at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to get into my eyeballs.
Yeah, well, that's like they say if you don't take care of your gums, it could affect your brain.
Yeah, it can affect everything else.
Crazy.
I know someone who had. Liz, someone just joined.
I believe it says Lisa Bakes Bars.
Oh,
hi Lisa, thanks for joining us.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I feel bad. I can't.
He doesn't have his glasses.
Yeah, I don't
on.
have my cheaters. but yeah, it just I forget where I was talking. Oh yeah, if you're diabetic, it just if it gets in your eyes.
Yep. That's it.
It's something you have to watch extremely carefully.
Yeah.
But like you said, like I know someone who had a tooth pulled. Like she had their molars pulled.
Yeah.
And she wasn't doing too well afterwards, and she went to the ER.
Mm-hmm.
And the infection almost went to her heart.
Yeah, I don't know
So-
what it is that's about, like, your mouth and your gums and stuff, but they are connected to so many other things.
Yeah. That's why I always recommend people going to the eye doctor because they can see
Yeah.
a lot of stuff. I don't know how this turned to like
I don't know.
but yeah, but like if you go to the eye doctor, especially an ophthalmologist,
Mm-hmm.
obviously an optometrist too, but they can see they can see a lot of stuff by looking at your eyes. Like if you have a blood clot somewhere, or if you have a tumor, God forbid,
Yeah.
or anything like that, or if you're gonna. I can't tell you how many times the doctor I worked for saved someone from having a stroke,
Right.
or who saw like something like about to happen. He was like, "Oh, you gotta go to the emergency room right now.
Yeah.
Like you have to go to the emergency room right now." And like
That's crazy.
legitimately, I remember one time he was like, "You have to literally go to the emergency room right now." We're talking about eye doctors, Lou, but
I was like,
yeah.
what?
So what happened
Yeah,
was,
where did that
was
go?
I work in ophthalmology, and the doctor was examining someone's eyes, and he was like, "You need to go to the emergency room right now," and he actually made me call the emergency room. Was like, "You need to see this patient
to
as
set it up.
soon as he walks in." He saved him from having a stroke.
Yeah.
So literally, he saved him from having a stroke. So it's just like you see the crazy. They see like if you could possibly set up for a stroke, the blood clots. You can see like if he saw someone who had a tumor, and like just because you take the X-rays, like the pictures, you can see.
Right. When they
You
do
can
like the
see
puff
stuff.
of air, and I know they don't do that anymore, but
Yeah.
I don't like it either. I always like jump, and then they're like, "Oh, you closed your eye."
Yeah, yeah, we
We
don't
have
do
to
that
do
in
it
our
again.
office. So yeah, one day I'm just gonna have to come on and just go live, and just shout out to everyone who just joins, and that'll be my podcast. I'll talk about their business.
There you go.
So if I'm out of guests, Facebook or Instagram Live is going to be my guest next time. Lisa bakes bars is amazing. Whatever she bakes, I assume bars. That girl is that Turtle? Or is it
Yes.
Tuttle? That girl
I think
Turtle,
it's Turtle.
22.
62.
62.
No, is it 62? Yeah.
Yeah, 62. She's good whatever she does. She likes a lot of my photos. So
Oh,
I
nice.
trust her sense of
Her
whatever she
judgment?
does.
She likes your stuff.
Yeah. Chatfield True Value is amazing.
Yeah.
I think are they Woolkit? I forget. Are they Woolkit or I know they're one of them. I would love for someone to actually answer me on this. I'm talking to them. About this time in this podcast, we're losing people. Lou.
You don't have to tell me.
Yeah.
It's your show. You do it the way you want.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so on that note, I guess we should
On that note,
we should end it.
we should wrap it up.
Yep. Anything you'd like to add?
Socials. You always got to do your socials,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely.
All right, so we have Instagram, which is GM_cupcake. Facebook is regular, just GM Cupcake. Website, goodmorningcupcake.net. Telephone number, 203-969-5993. Email, if you still do that. Adrianna, ADRIANNA @goodmorningcupcake.net. And I think that's everything.
Perfect. And I was going to give a quick shout out to the last two people that joined. I'm sorry, my face is scary, but.
Derlice treatment, full of fair party, and
Woods
words on wood party.
They're actually on Center Street in
Woodbury?
Wallingford.
Oh, Wallingford, cool.
And they
Oh wait,
do,
there's one more.
They do
SVP
like wood
partners.
party signs, like they do like the party.
Yep.
Like the girls that you can do there.
Yeah.
And who the hell is this?
SVP partners.
Something Partners. Yeah, they're amazing too. I don't know what they do, but whatever. And I'm sorry that you guys just joined. We're leaving you.